We all have unique lives, whether you invested in the stock market for the first time this year, own an up-and-coming small business, or are raising rambunctious twins. Luckily, TurboTax Live has experts who can answer your tax questions, walk you through the whole process, or do your taxes for you from start to finish, no matter your unique situation. To TurboTax Live experts, an interesting life can mean an even greater refund. Visit TurboTax.com to learn more. You do your thing, they've got your taxes. Intuit TurboTax Live.
Around these parts, yeah.
And elsewhere.
And that means it's time for the giant Bombcast, episode number 700 and something.
Good Lord.
22.
And two? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. 702. Okay, sure. Yeah, the 702. Did you say 702 or 722?
22.
22. All right, okay. All right. 702. Where it's legal to gamble.
Oh.
Owen is 2.
Oh.
I'm confused about casinos.
I'll explain it.
That's
to
what
you,
Sir
Jan.
Mix-a-Lot had to say about the 702. I don't know. What are you confused about casinos, Jan? Let's get into it. The important stuff.
How can you open them? Where can you open them? Who can open them? Is there like certain vicinities?
Certain municipalities have legalized them. Certain states or jurisdictions.
Counties.
Counties.
Yes. Yep. Sometimes you'll get it
Jeff
at gas
says
stations.
the chat. Can hear Jeff now. Sorry.
And
A Commonwealth.
it is like very licensed. I believe the if not the local, then the federal government provides. Did you ever see the movie Casino?
No.
That'll teach you everything
Really?
you need to know.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
That makes sense.
Okay.
I don't know.
There's
fine.
certain blind spots.
Jan's like 17. Like,
Yeah,
why would you have
I-
seen Casino?
I'm the
I just
youth
want
of
to
the
see
group.
how high pitched I could say.
You said it so high that your mic cut out that time. It was like, that's noise. We need to suppress that. Whatever is going on, there's like a drill bit.
Kill the mouse in your studio.
Yeah.
There's a frequency so high that adults and also Discord cannot hear it.
Mm-hmm. They play it out in front of the 7-Eleven. No, you have to. Yeah, there's a whole licensing process, and if you are a criminal, they don't. According to the film Casino, which I understand is a documentary, you know, if you've been involved in a lot of crimes and stuff, they probably won't give you a license to work in a casino and all that other stuff. But yeah, it's stringently.
Because every time I pass
Probably.
by San Jose, I always see the Matrix Casino, and it's a huge, tall building. And then I'm curious as if anyone actually goes in there, or if it's all a scam.
The Matrix Casino?
Like the
Like-
movie?
Casino Matrix or something. It has like the number 8 in there. You see
Got
it on
it.
the 101 as you're
Matrix,
driving down.
okay.
It's a
Yeah,
monolith.
like California casinos are weird because they used to all be like very small card rooms, or generally like, you know, you would have like a few bigger casinos that are like straight up on reservations,
Right.
and Native American run and all that other stuff. And so like that was allowed. And then you had more and more cities say, well, actually, how about we put a casino closer to the city, but it's still Native American run, even though it's not technically on the reservation. It's still, you know, and so you started seeing allowances for that too. And so suddenly these very large, way fancier, like, so there was like a shit ass, I'm sure it's still there, this tiny ass card room in Petaluma that, you know, was just like it was like behind the shitty motel. And you know, they didn't really have machines. It was really just that you could come in there and play poker but they couldn't do machines, I think is what it was. And then
There's always
eventually the
weird
laws
stipulation.
changed, and
Yeah.
like the laws opened up a lot more. And then they opened up a full on big ass, like in Roner Park, the town just like up to the north, up in Murder Park, they opened up like a big ass casino, but they couldn't get the zoning right to open a hotel in time. So it was like, there was no place to stay near there. And this was just a big old fucking mess. And
My folks
they,
love it there.
oh yeah,
Casinos,
no, yeah.
casinos always like spawn and emerge under the most corrupt and like ass backwards circumstances. You know,
Yeah.
like they truly are the weird growth your dermatologist should have a look at in terms of like development real estate. It is very strange, especially around here with all the, you know, pop-up stuff that's been happening the last 30 years. It's very
And
strange.
New Jersey known for being on the up and up, very much above board.
What you worried about? You worried about us?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
We just have
The
weird
casino
little-
opened.
Sorry, we just
Go
have
ahead.
weird little places that you don't think will be gambling related, but they just have a weird little neon sign that says video gaming. And I get excited every time I see it. And I'm like,
Video
wait,
games.
no, it means slots. It's just
Yeah.
really
Oh.
shitty fucking little slots.
Oh yeah.
But they all have different little shitty mini games. It's like those ones you play in a bar or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just like a whole establishment that's just that shit. And just old people hang out there. I don't know. But there's one that is in like an old bank. It was converted to become a little video gaming scenario, and also one that used to be a gas station. Clearly was a gas station at some point, and now it's the video gaming weird ass emporium. I hate them.
On
Sounds
that
great.
topic, you got to be very careful of places with a neon sign that says adult arcade because it's not what you think.
It's not what you think.
No,
Yeah, no.
Different kind of joystick in
They
there.
got Mortal
you know?
Kombat in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope.
Or at least the pills from Street Fighter or whatever that make your dick weird.
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Street Overlord.
big weird pills.
Street
Yeah.
Overlord. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. The casino stuff is super weird. And the way it opens and grows and like I don't know. Yeah, it's a whole.
You make it sound so disgusting.
It's not. Well, I don't know.
Not
I just
great.
I don't like casinos, and I think there's something about the casinos once you get outside of like Nevada that just take on this like very kind of sad,
Yeah.
empty, sort of desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Atlantic City.
Well, okay. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
Atlantic
Very
City was
sad.
yes.
A very
Yeah.
sad city.
They attract a different clientele outside of Vegas and Atlantic City, and it's mostly
Yeah.
just people on their their 40th honeymoon deciding we're gonna take a trip. We're not going to.
Yeah,
I'd go to the real places.
You are being generous with that scenario.
Yeah, like we went to Tahoe, and you forget that it's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
Nevada. Like you can have this shit anywhere. But like we went into a grocery store, and you just see a bunch of video poker machines
Yeah,
along the wall,
it's
and there's a
wild.
woman sitting there, a woman who looks like she has been sitting there for the last 150 years.
Yeah. Smoking, maybe.
Like yes, exactly. Smoking, holding an ashtray in one hand, a cigarette in the other, and turning around and talking to the checkers as they're doing grocery store stuff, and it's going like blah, 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 with the most gravelly, heinous voice in the world. It's like, oh, a ghost just lives here,
Yeah.
and if you work at that store, you get to talk to the ghost every day, who shows up and goes blah, 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 blah. And yeah, I don't know. That's
It's like-
gambling.
It's that lady Juno from Beetlejuice, just fucking,
Yeah.
For sure.
just fucking smoking out of the hole in her neck.
Yeah,
Just
pretty much.
fucking- That's it.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Oh man.
And like that scenario made me like long for the desperation of Atlantic City in comparison.
Oh
Sure.
god. No one should
never been-
long.
I've never
that
been
place.
to a casino, and I keep
I
getting
smell
Really?
a field trip.
I know. Right? I keep getting
Yeah.
invited to Vegas, and I'm just like, man, I super don't want to go to Vegas. It's
Vegas
just
is
like,
the worst. God,
It's-
yeah. Last
yes,
time
Vegas,
I was there, it's,
hell on
it's-
earth.
I just don't want to
yes.
go.
Like the
Like,
bottom
every
floor
time-
of the hotel is a casino, and it's just completely smoke filled. It's disgusting
anymore.
in there. Really?
Yeah, they-
Yeah, the
they changed that?
smoking's taken out of a lot of
wow.
Vegas casinos. Yeah, not all.
They
of it.
actually had
Not
a
all.
floor on the hotel that was smoking only that I got put on somehow,
Oh
and the
god.
entire fucking floor just reeked. It was nasty. I never
Sucks.
want to go back.
Yeah, I keep getting invited to Vegas. And I'm just like, oh, please stop inviting me to Vegas. I do not want to go. I mean, I read / saw a cool documentary about a thing that I would have gone to Vegas
Mole
for.
people.
No,
Oh,
there was a
damn it.
There was a Deep Space Nine promenade recreation,
Mm-hmm.
and it had actors that actually spoke Klingon and shit like that. I would have gone to that in a flat fucking second if I wasn't 8 years old when it closed and had no idea what Deep Space Nine was. at the time. But if I could time travel to a certain era of Vegas, that would be the era, the Star Trek hype era.
Yeah, I think I went to Vegas for the first time in '92, and I was like 16.
Oh dear.
And because I went to CES because that's where the video games were back before there was an E3.
Oh, the video gaming.
Yes, you had to go. Yes. And Vegas was not cleaned up all the way at that point. Like it hadn't fully transitioned away from like the crazy fucking criminality into like, hey, it's like family theme park. We got Star Trek. We got New York's here. There's a roller coaster. Bring your kids. Like it was way more like, no, come here. We got hookers. We got blow. Have some free drinks and fucking gamble. And you're like, and at age 16, that was a lot to take in.
Was that before? Was that before their whole marketing campaign was like, break the law here, right? Like
what happens here stays here.
Yeah, which is basically code for just like cheat on your spouse.
Yeah.
Here.
And
we won't
here's
tell
the
anyone.
place.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing. Yeah, no, it was before. It was before that. It was when that was just like pretty much standard operating procedure. You're like, if you're here, you're here to do something fucking bad. Because there's nothing else here for you to do if you're not into that. And at age 16, that was very weird. You're like, oh, well, the Luxor, because like all those casinos down that end, the MGM Grand, the Luxor, like all that stuff had opened relatively recently. And so like the Luxor had an arcade. And that was like the one thing. It was like, let's go over to the cool Pyramid Casino. They got video games. And that was fun. But yeah, the rest of it was like putting a sports coat on and then just trying to gamble, and at age 16 and getting away with it for the most part.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure if one of us had won a significant amount of money, I'm sure they would have been like, let's see some fucking ID. And they were like, we're not paying you shit. And they'd kick you out. But happy to take your money.
Papa Giorgio'd right there, for sure.
Basically, yeah.
Not to mention that entire place is the middle of the goddamn desert.
It's like 110 degrees on the regular.
Oh, yeah.
1 degree at night, Jan.
Turns out I knew that deserts were cold. It's just I forgot that you don't, if you're in a building surrounded, it's weird.
It's so dry there.
Like when I went for Evo, my shoes broke.
Your shoes just cracked.
Yeah.
Oh, did you like stand on was the pavement too hot and they just melted into it?
Yeah. My Doc Martens like exploded on me.
Like we can't handle it here.
I was reading a story about there was a problem with people passing out outside, like from drugs or drinking or whatever. But as you do, but they would pass out and hit the pavement, and then they their faces would burn, and they would be unconscious, and they would not be able to get up, and just like the damage being done to people in that situation. So when we originally started deciding we were going to move, Henderson was on the list of like places that we were like, you could, strictly because it was like, oh, you could get a house in Henderson for like a fucking $1, and it's it's huge, and you could do, like, that'd be a good home office kind of. And then for a couple of reasons of like no, and then there were some reasons to move where we ended up moving for work stuff, and then also maybe not the best place to raise a family.
Yeah, like the surface of Venus,
outskirts
basically.
of Vegas. Yeah, between the temperature and also the part where it's still like basically Las Vegas. It was like, maybe not.
Our backyard is endlessness. It goes on forever until the mountains, I guess.
Yeah.
Sand and needles in the sand.
Yeah.
To be clear, though, I like craps. I'll play craps. You want to play blackjack? I'll play some blackjack.
Don't let me near
craps.
the table, please.
Craps is like a social game. You can stand around and like watch other people play craps and go, I think you fucking suck shit, and put money on there and ruin the vibe of the table and all that. You can be a real dick.
I've never had fun gambling in my life. I do not get it.
You need to go with me then.
I know
I don't like it
Jan
either.
is
I'm with
upset
you.
at this. Yeah, it just
Well,
stresses me out. It stresses me out. The risk reward
get it.
thing is not a. It's not a serotonin feedback for me. It's
Yeah.
just stress for me.
I broke up with a girlfriend, and a friend of mine was going to Las Vegas for like a week. And so I was like, sure, I'll come with you. He was dating a stewardess at the time. And she was based out of Vegas. And so he actually would just, this is pre 9/11. So he could just like get on whatever plane she was on and just like sit in the weird half seat in the back because no one gave a shit.
Yeah.
And so he was just like randomly flying to LA. Like he'd be gone for like a day and a half at a time. I was like, oh, I was in LA for a while. And then we had to go to O'Hare. And then, and then now I'm back. So it was like a weird week of like me half alone in Vegas. And I brought a set amount of money to gamble with that I blew through playing 3-card poker in the first 90 minutes that we got there.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
And then like the next day said, fuck it, went and got some more money, won all that money back and then some. Enough to pay for the room, like basically to cover the entire week at that point. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm done gambling. Like I'm up and it covers everything that's about to, like all the fucking, all you can eat shitty fucking roast beef I can eat. And I'm done. I don't think I've gambled since
I do
like 2001 or something.
The thing is that I'm extraordinarily unlucky when it comes to like
it's not
games
real.
of chance.
Luck
Games of
isn't real.
chance.
Luck isn't real.
This is not
I know.
real. Luck's not real.
Flip a coin right now. I'll try to call it. It will
I mean,
be the
along the
opposite
timeline,
thing.
it'll be 50%.
No one carries
Just saying.
coins, Jess.
Can't be unlucky. Yeah.
No, but
I'm
it's uncanny though.
Craps and blackjack.
I have lost almost every 90% of all coin flips.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
I found a coin. Call it.
Okay, tails.
Well, I lost the coin, so technically you lost.
Wow,
Yeah.
the coin didn't even, it ceased
Yeah.
to be. That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
lucky you are. Well, I understand because craps and blackjack, you can be the enemy. Like people can gang up on you in a way that feels bad, and I get it. People who sit in that anchor seat in blackjack, anyone who bets on craps, word for the table to crap out is usually like, "What are you doing, you prick? What are you betting on? Everyone else losing? You're an asshole.
Craps,
Like, don't do
it's
that."
like it's basically fucking cryptocurrency. It's a bunch of people going like, yeah, keep betting that everything's gonna go great. And then if you're the guy who shows up and goes, this sucks, they're like, you ruined the vibe, man. You just don't get it.
Ooh, someone should really flesh that out. I think you got
Yeah.
something there, dude.
Make a video essay, baby.
Yeah. It's another 2 hours on crypto. Yeah, and then yes, blackjack people get pissed when you like hit or stand on the the wrong way. Because they're like counting points in their head or counting cards, or so like if you were ahead of them and you fuck up the count or something, they get all bent out of shape.
Yeah,
which
You're
is
not playing
fair.
right. Yeah,
Which is
which sure,
fair,
I guess like, but whatever. Fuck you. Like if I fuck up and lose, like I don't give a shit about you. Fuck them.
Yeah.
It's not like I get a cut of their winnings. They can fucking eat a dick.
Well,
Fuck
you
'em.
do get a cut of their winnings if you help everyone else win.
No, like in blackjack. Like,
Yes. I'm talking about blackjack. Yeah.
okay, I don't get a cut of their winnings.
What?
If I win,
No, you don't get a cut of what everyone else wins, but like there is a community sort of like it's us against the dealer sort of
Oh
thing.
no, I don't.
Yes.
I don't operate under that.
but
I
again,
also
like
think
that's,
another reason to not like gambling is the social aspect of it. Like I'm hanging out with strangers. I don't know if they hate me. I don't know if I'm fucking up in front of them. It's a nightmare. And I'm unlucky, so they're gonna hate me.
the etiquette aspect of gambling is not cool and not fun. Not fun at all. Anyway, I'm Jeff.
Any Konami news since we're talking about gambling?
Well, that's a
No?
perfect lead-in.
No, not really. I'm Jeff. There's Jeff. There's Jan. There's Jason. There's Jess. We're here
Hey.
to do the Giant Bombcast. Hello, everyone.
Hey, crew.
Why don't we talk about some video games?
I think I'm
About
playing
that.
the music. Yeah, the music's
I
playing.
think you're playing the music. Okay. Hold the mic up to a speaker. And we can talk about WindJammers 2,
Yeah.
which came out last week. After almost 30 years, 28 years since the release of WindJammers 1, it has finally received a sequel. I have played some of this. We attempted to stream some of it and found their matchmaking stuff to be completely hosed.
That didn't go well at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't have a
that
tournament if
the
we can't
private
play each
lobby
other.
stuff. Yeah, like just unable to connect to each other. Even like it has some form of crossplay, but that doesn't factor into the private match sort of
wouldn't know
invite experience. But even in that situation, we had a hell of a time getting anyone connected to each other. And I find that to be very frustrating, as
was
it's a game that,
disappointing.
yeah, it does not have a ton of single player. Like there's a story, it's got its arcade mode kind of thing, and you can play versus matches locally if you happen to be near someone who also wants to play Windjammers. But the online is kind of the key thing there. The netcode seems capable, but it ain't magic. So like I feel like most of the time I've tried matchmaking, I'm getting ping times over 200, and you just see some rollback in a sense that's just like, this is unacceptable. That's just, I'm sure like anyone playing this game is probably in France, right? So that maybe that's why. But I did have some decent matches with a low ping, and it worked quite well. I also, before we get into the game itself, it is also on xCloud. It's also on the Xbox streaming stuff, and so I decided to try that.
How'd that go?
I feel like if not Microsoft, then maybe the developers of an individual game. Like there needs to be some process in place for like a quality check in terms of someone needs to step in and go, this game is way too focused on you playing with low latency for it to be a good time via the cloud, and we should probably just not put it on this service because there's not enough of a game here otherwise. If that aspect of it doesn't work, the whole game kind of doesn't work, and so we should probably just say thanks but no thanks, we're not going to put this on xCloud.
Are they doing that on a case-by-case basis? Because it seems like everything that's been coming out on Game Pass as of late.
I think specifically because I'm guessing because it's on Game Pass, it's on cloud. I think that might be part of the deals they cut, that it has to be there. I'm not positive, but I believe that's the case.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, this is totally a game that does not benefit from the cloud.
Yeah, so I'm playing a match with some stranger where the ping time in the match is over 200, and I'm playing it via video stream.
What's the math on that?
Suck is what that was. It was like, oh, the disc is coming my way, I'm going to dodge in that direction to make sure I grab it. Oh, I hit that button like a fucking second too late, and I'm fucked, and no amount of rollback is going to save me from myself on that. It was a terrible experience. And just like it's the sort of thing that you're like, why I don't like a game that is so focused on low latency and the tightness of those controls and that sort of stuff. Just don't do it. It doesn't make the service look good. It doesn't make it like the whole thing just seems like a bad time.
Yeah,
so
just download it.
Just download it. But I feel like they shouldn't allow some games to appear on the service because it makes the service seem bad.
Sure.
And so I might say don't do that. Anyway, the game itself is Windjammers 1 with additional options. Like they put a super meter in that lets you kind of bust out your super move without having to charge up as you did in the first game. You can jump, and so that creates scenarios where if someone lobs, you can jump, grab, and spike.
That jump is so nasty.
It's so weird.
I can never effectively use it, but every time it happens to me, I get so mad. And I think like, all right, well, I'll time it better this time. Like, I'll just copy them. And I can never get like the jump to match up with like the lob toss that they do. Or I'll just jump in the air and I'll still have the frisbee with me.
Yeah. Oops. Which that fakes people out too. You can jump, not throw, and then throw. And, so there's like, you have the slap shot stuff where you kind of just like punch it back at them without grabbing it first. And you could do that with a lob shot, or like a kind of a drop shot that just goes over the net and drops, or like a full on regular strike. And so like everything they've added to the game makes it nastier because it adds options to the game that you have to be prepared for at any given time. And so the number of things you have to cover, or the number of decisions you have to make and how fast you have to make them, it is much more intense than the first game.
Yep.
And I think that's probably it's cool. I like it. It's a cool ass game. The things they did to expand on it, I think that stuff is really neat, but I think a lot of it comes at the expense of the pick up and play kind of anyone can enjoy this immediately feel that the first game had.
Yeah, and while it's more nuanced and more layered, you know, at the high end of things, yeah, it does make it very hard for somebody to just kind of jump in, as you used to be able to.
Yeah, and so it feels like a game made for WindJammers France. You know, it feels like a game made for that competitive scene. It made for like the same people that are playing fighting games. Like it's that type of game, and it was that type of game before.
Oh yeah,
but it was also a game you could play with one button or two once you learned what the second button did. And now that it is 4 buttons with hitting 2 of them at the same time to pop your super, and they all do different things, and they are all like tactically very important to the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's I feel like it's narrowed the game's appeal considerably, and I don't know that that's necessarily a positive, but I like, as someone who, you know, plays some fighting games and stuff, I do still think it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I just want to get a decent match in online. I haven't been able to connect to anybody, so
Yeah, same.
I'm waiting, until they get that ironed out.
Yeah.
Although I haven't seen a lot of people complain about it online, but I fully expected, you know, given the horrible experience that we had.
Well, I wonder if that was just a launch morning thing that has since been corrected, because I know they did have known issues list out there, and that was on that list. I don't think they've patched since, but like I said, over the weekend I was able to connect to someone and play some matches. That game needs a couple of things. It needs BU, the character that that S. Miller is supposed to be, but in the original game, if you were playing it on Japanese Neo Geo hardware, it defaulted to BU, and he becomes S. Miller if you toggle that over to US or Europe, I think. And I think they should have gone with BU. Fuck S. Miller. S. Miller is a punk ass. BU is the real deal, and they should have taken this opportunity to put them both in the game in a Ryu and Ken like manner.
They do have a hidden character in there.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Discman, who is a sickening pervert, a little man in tights that hops around with it, and Discman is a sicko.
WindJammers, yeah.
Oh.
Discman belongs in jail.
Okay.
Yeah,
throw this guy
Discman
away.
is the tingle of WindJammers.
Hold on.
Looking this guy up.
I would not trust Discman. I would not share a meal with Discman. I would not give Discman a ride anywhere.
What the fuck is he?
He's very Tingle-esque, actually. You're spot on about that comparison.
I do not trust Discman. Discman, however, seems like a pretty good character to play.
What happened to Discman?
What happened to Discman to make Discman this way?
30
He went
years
to
of being promised the sequel and not getting one.
Yeah. And then he went to Vegas for a week with his buddy.
Yeah.
It changed.
Came back like this. Yeah.
He went sicko disc mode.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's, yeah, no, that's I figured that was in there somewhere. People in chat are saying that if you finish the game with S. Miller, it does at least address what happened to BU.
Oh, nice.
In the ending. So, but also playing that game solo has not been super fun. So I have not finished any of the arcade modes whatsoever. It's cool. I'm glad it exists for sure, and I do want to play more of it. It's just not. You know, when I think about the wide appeal that first game could have once you introduced people to it and said, like, here, you just dash towards the disc and get it. And then the layers become like, well, if you do like a quarter circle, half circle, you can kind of curve it, like those sorts of things. Like, it had layers without being too crazy. And now I think for those players, it's going to be too much. And that's unfortunate. I don't know. Like it had a party game appeal to it that I just don't think this sequel has at all.
Right.
But hey, Rainbow Six Extraction also came out. I'm sorry, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction also came out.
What sets it apart a Rainbow Six joint when it has a Tom Clancy in front of it? Is like Tom Clancy's estate be like, no, this is the one we want to put our name onto, or?
It's a good question.
So
I
Ubisoft
didn't realize
bought the
that
rights
some
to
of
the
them didn't have
name.
that.
Yeah, Ubisoft bought the rights to the name Tom Clancy's a while ago, and so I don't think they have to go to the estate for anything. So they could have Tom Clancy's The Crew 3, I think, if they really wanted to.
But when a game really needs that extra zazoo, that little
They put the
spice,
Tom Clancy stamp on it.
That's it.
that
Yeah.
little
Zaboomafoo,
something
you know?
special.
Little
Mhm.
zazoo on it.
You put a little Tom Clancy on there,
Yeah,
a little
little
dash of
stank
it.
on it.
Yeah,
Little
and all of a
stank.
sudden,
Little Discman
game's
on
still
it.
bad.
Yeah, a little. Oh God, Discman's Rainbow Six. Disgusting.
Tactical spandex.
Yeah, I mean the Rainbow Six here, I think, really just implies that it is using characters from Rainbow Six Siege, and it is kind of using some of the technology and concepts in terms of destructible walls and all that other stuff from Siege. Because if you think about what Rainbow Six has traditionally meant, it is that very tactical breach and clear, like take it slow, this matters. Like, you know, you can't just fucking run into a room and shoot people. You know, it's like you need to check your corners and open doors the right way, like a military man would. And like that's Rainbow Six. So this being 3-player co-op shooter against alien goop, it's just fucking weird. I don't know that, like, it just feels like there's a certain between this and X-Defiant and whatever the other game is, the Division Heartlands or whatever, like the Ghost Recon Battle Royale game that they announced and then immediately disassociated themselves with from. It just feels like there's a certain amount of desperation to try to make the Clancy games more appealing, a wider appeal, whatever it is. Like try to make something new instead of just like, here's the same tactical this and that that you are used to. And I think that's really weird. But I went into this game. We played some of it last week. That's that video is up on the site right now if you want to watch it. And we played some of that co-op. I went into that thing after having played the tutorial and messed around with it a little bit and played like one multiplayer match with strangers, thinking, man, this game just sucks. Like, what a misguided, just like, oh my God, like all the structure of it, all the gameplay, all of the enemy, like that sort of stuff, just going like, my God, this is dire. And then when we got into it and we were talking to each other while we were playing it and taking it slow and all that other stuff, I was like, okay, I don't think this game is for me. It's not the worst thing, you know. Like I came out of it going like, "This is what a terrible." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? I don't think this game is like suddenly amazing, but like I get it. Right. I get why someone might go, hey, we're gonna have some fun with this in co-op, and it's on Gamepass, so I can get it for like it's not. It's I don't think it's something people should be paying money for. I guess is maybe that's a damning praise or something.
So there is an online matchmaking play with randos option.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
That seems crazy to me. That seems like the craziest part because it's like this is a sneaky, stealthy, tactical, talk to each other sort of game, and playing it with people who might not even speak your language is like there's no possible way to win that sort of scenario, right? Because communication is so key.
Yeah. Or people
I
that
feel
are
like you need to be
rude.
tight with people.
Yeah,
or
right.
People that are rude. Or people that have a totally different play style, and you feel like you have to really communicate and plan and have a similar vibe with each other. I feel like this is a game that, like, if you play it with friends that are, playing it with the same mindset as you, there's a ton of potential for enjoyment there. But I feel like otherwise,
playing with randos,
a doomed prospect, basically.
Yeah.
Is there is there like character progression or like account progression? Okay.
So there's both, and this is where they tried to put stakes in the game. They wanted to make it matter when you fucked up, and it's an interesting idea that I think is probably going to be more frustrating than fun because, so if you fail a mission, it has a list of characters, and some you unlock later on, and but it's got I don't know, let's call it 15 playable characters that come with different weapon loadouts and different hey, this person starts with a recon drone, this person can heal at range, this person different ultimate abilities, that sort of stuff. And if you fail a mission, your operator is captured, basically. Like they are MIA.
Ooh.
And that means next mission you cannot select them, but it also means next time you go to the location where you lost, you will have an opportunity to rescue them.
From a weird
And-
alien tree.
Yes, they get gooped up and
Hates you.
tied to a weird alien tree that you have to yank them out of and then put them in a weird metal coffin to extract them.
Which is really hard. I tried that on solo, like when they were tutorializing it. I failed it the first time because I didn't understand what the hell was happening, basically. But when you're pulling the operator out, there's like a meter that fills up how much you are successfully pulling the operator out. But the tree don't like that, and it's sending out pods that give it energy to suck the guy back in. So you have to leave the guy that you're pulling to go shoot the pods, and then go back to pulling the guy. It's really, really clunky and difficult to do in solo mode. So I was like really confused, and it made a lot more sense when we were playing, with a whole team of folks.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, one person can keep tugging this guy while other people are dealing with these pods. It just felt like such a weird
I tugged the
multitasking
guy.
nightmare.
It was me
Yeah, it
that
was
does
you.
all the guy tugging around here.
Good job tugging that guy, Jeff.
Yeah, I got him off that tree.
Mhm. You're on point.
Yeah, and
You got him off all right.
yeah, he
Oh,
got off,
okay.
and
Mhm.
and there's so much goo.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then when you get them back, or in some cases where if you go down but not out, but you still complete the mission, you may come back injured, and it's like this almost XCOM like scenario of like they come back and they're fucked up and they need to heal, so you have to play missions with other characters for a while they regain back up to their maximum health. Also, if you don't rescue them, and I think in some cases even if you do rescue them, it just might be like you lose XP on that character.
Oh.
So like your progress, you lose some of that progress up until a certain point. So basically the idea is, I think once you get a character up to level 10, it locks it in, and you're like, okay, you're level 10 now, you're good. We're not gonna fuck you over anymore. But until then, there's like, oh well, now I need to get even more XP to unlock the remote heal that works as like a lower cooldown, like very useful in-game items that you would love to work towards. And like it's a neat idea because it gives the game stakes. You're like, oh, we need to play it's the only thing that I think kind of puts tactics into that game in a meaningful way, right?
Okay.
Because otherwise you could just run around and shoot and hope for the best. If you fail, you're like, fucking whatever. But with that, you're like, okay, maybe I need to play this as if it had the words Tom Clancy on it and not just run around and fuck shit up. But it just feels like an artificial, like it feels like they slapped that on there to achieve that goal. And it just feels weirdly, it's punishing. It's punishing in a way that doesn't necessarily seem super fun.
Yeah,
So
It's
it's like,
weird. Is that like stealth? I don't know. Like, I think it's a bit strange that they went with like an alien situation, because I feel like these aliens don't seem especially that smart or tactical or anything. So it feels like the vibe is a little off when it comes to stealth, because I feel like stealth games usually have fairly smart, humans or something like that. I assume the other Tom Clancy's have like, human terrorists and stuff like that they have to sneak
Yeah.
up on. So I feel like it being aliens kind of made me, there's like a switch in my head where aliens happen. I'm just like, just shoot them all, let God sort them out. And it's like, no, I
Yeah.
have to sneak around. That's not fun. I want to shoot them.
it's as soon as because they're like humanoid, weird, glowy alien things that you're like running up to and cutting their fucking necks on. And
Yeah.
it's just like,
Which is hilarious, like I want it to be campy and weird because it's aliens, but it's
yeah,
like,
it just feels like it's
around.
like a bad GTFO or like a bad Left 4 Dead. It's like some like elements of that style of co-op shooter are kind of funneled into this other thing with a little bit of the siege stuff in there, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of a weird mess. I don't know, like it's interesting. I'll say it's a weird mess in a way that like you wouldn't necessarily expect, because it's that weirdly kind of punishing stuff with the characters and all that it's a different kind of mess than you might expect. But it's just it just feels like this weird, ill-advised thing that you're like, I don't get why this got made, like, or why it had to say Tom Clancy on it, only because it's using the Rainbow Six Siege stuff. I guess it had to inherit that, but like it just feels fucking strange.
Yeah, that seems even weirder.
Can we talk a little about oh, go ahead, Jan.
That seems even weirder because I feel like people that really are hardcore about Siege are really tied to the operators they really like, and to hear that like they may potentially get like tied up or may even be out of commission would turn me off from playing the game, especially if like you devote all your time into being an expert in the dude with a hammer or the person with like the little drone buggy thing.
Yeah,
it would just and it kind of defeats the purpose of like kind of picking up and play. But hearing that it's a really weirdly hardcore stealth game, I guess it isn't pick up and play.
Yeah, it feels like a game where it makes you play the tutorial, but also I think like the tutorial is not especially well done on top of that. So
the tutorial was kind of dog shit. Like I'll say it's like I hated that tutorial really bad.
Yeah, that's some rough stuff for sure. So it's like it's a game with ideas. Like I'll give it that. Like plenty of games come out that don't even have that. Especially when we get into this like co-op kind of shooter sort of space. Like there's a lot of stuff. I would take it over Back 4 Blood. I guess I would say.
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel like there's still like
did not like Back 4 Blood much at all. Like
I feel like there's still the definite potential to have fun if you have a good crew. That this is your jam and whatever, like what you like, that's fine. But I feel like it does have like a lot of little awkward weirdnesses to it that I just look at and I'm just like, oh, this could have been more fun, but they didn't do it. Can we talk about the best part of the game, which is the opening cutscene, which is incredibly
yes, the opening cutscene is unequivocally the most amazing part of the game,
so
and maybe one of the most amazing things to be in games.
It is so fucking funny. It is so fucking funny. This cutscene, I was like guffawing at how self-serious it was.
They show the first time the alien strike, or are they aliens or zombie, whatever the fuck they are. They're some kind of alien race or zombie, whatever it is. I don't know. They have like a Zerg-like creep that they put out everywhere, and you walk slower when you're on it. And I don't know any zombies that do that, so there's got to be aliens. But like in the introductory cutscene, they attack like Ellis Island, and like the goop comes up
Liberty
and they knock
Island.
the head off the Statue of Liberty.
Liberty Island, not Ellis Island.
The most dumbly, like they found a way, because like you think about Rainbow Six, it's very fucking this like jingoistic, like just like fucking America's gotta fucking put these fuckers down, and then but like it's aliens, so how do you make that work? You make the aliens attack fucking the Statue of goddamn Liberty. And you're just like, check out this iconic thing that they fucked up. Oh no, America's under attack. And it's just
they had to do an equivalent alien 9/11 to put the stakes at where they had to be.
Well,
and it was so, the presentation was so funny because there's like this old man with a cane and he's gonna buy a little Statue of Liberty snow globe from the not the gift shop, but like a kiosk or whatever,
not
like
anymore,
next to the
he's
hot
not.
dog vendor. And it's just like, oh no, the snow globe breaks, and oh America! Like it was just so fucking funny. I just couldn't believe it. He was shuffling away from all these like alien meteors and explosions. He's like shuffling with the cane. It was so funny. Oh my god!
Did he get
And
extracted?
I was like,
did you guys save him?
I don't know. Maybe he's like the final like boss or something. I don't know. I hope so. If this game had any like self-awareness or sense of humor, they could have ran with that and made like a really funny like alien invasion stealth game. Like I just want some sort of personality.
Not with the Tom Clancy naming.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like I don't know. I wasn't expecting that, but I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if like this was just a B movie of a game?
I think it was Matt Rory who pointed it out, that like there's a scene where there's a bunch of people hunched over computers in an office all working, and then a woman walks in and says, okay, let's get to work.
Let's get
like
to
they've
work.
Clearly they've already been working.
Been here 8 hours, Janice. Where have you been?
Fucking it's the opening
stuck in
cutscene
traffic.
of that game, I imagine it's online somewhere. You should go look it up.
So funny.
Because it's just fucking stupid.
It is so funny.
That sounds great.
Love it.
They do that in Independence Day too. Like the aliens straight up blow up the White House. They're like,
but
absolutely.
that's Independence
we've done our
Day.
research.
Independence Day is silly as shit.
This day is gonna mean a lot to just this one country. Literally nothing to anyone else. Just these guys.
Mhm.
And they're just like, I don't know. We need your air. We need your dirt and your air. So
And Andy Quaid saved us all. Randy Quaid, my bad.
Randy Quaid.
yeah,
Andy.
that's it.
We don't
Last
talk
time we
about
saved
Andy
anybody.
Quaid.
No. We barely
No, yeah,
talk
we're
about
not
Randy.
talking about Andy Quaid enough, some say.
Oh.
All right, so yeah, that game's out now. It's a mess.
Cool.
But maybe it's a mess you'll like if you got some other friends that are into exactly that sort of mess. I don't know.
Exactly. At
don't
what
know.
point? At what point do we hit like the limit on number of games that are on Game Pass that we can say, fuck it, it's free.
Yeah, right.
You know, like an Outriders, or like games that you're like, I wouldn't recommend this game to anyone under any circumstances that involved you paying money for it. But,
It's a valid rating, right?
right.
It's like it's part of the scale now. It's like
Yeah,
fuck
that's
it,
part
it's
of the butt
free.
scale.
Yeah.
I mean, like we live in a world of fuck it, it's free. Like, how many things have I watched
is
on
not-
Hulu and Netflix because fuck it, it's there. I don't know.
It's not free. Okay, it's included.
yeah.
It's included.
Yeah.
Right? It's included.
Yeah.
But you're paying for it anyway, so fuck it, it's free.
They're padding the stats there a little
For
bit.
sure. Like, but I feel like this game is this the game? Probably not. But like, how many more games like this can hit this service and people can say like, hey, give it a shot. Like
honestly,
before
like,
you're just like, hey, maybe Game Pass is just full of fucking mediocre games now. Like, what the fuck?
Honestly, I wouldn't have checked out Ember if I didn't see that it was like new in the store, and then it was
Yeah.
an easy thing to convince the homies that had Game Pass, like, if you get it, we could play together, type of deal.
And Game
wouldn't
Pass is,
have,
I think, saving I think WindJammers 2 wouldn't be working at all unless it was on Game Pass. Like, I loaded up the PlayStation version, and there were like 22 people online.
What?
Granted, on the Xbox and like that kind of that the PlayStation version doesn't have any kind of crossplay.
Sure.
So I assume that the online number takes that into account when you look at it. But so the numbers on the other side were not amazing either, but it was like 600.
Yeah.
And so like I always found a match as soon as I hit like find me a match. Whereas on PlayStation, 22 people.
Oh.
Yeah. The new feature, Game Pass or Fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's what
feel
we're gonna
like
get into.
Game Pass is like the new demo disc.
Well, no, they're full games.
I know, but I mean,
least
given
you-
that we don't do demo discs anymore, I feel like the availability and the variety that's on Game Pass kind of it fills in that void for me.
Sure, okay.
Where it's like, I miss demo discs. I miss just being like, what's this fucking game? I don't know
Like a
what
little
Medieval
smorgasbord.
is,
Yeah.
but like I played
Especially
the
with it
demo and
being,
it's like,
like-
oh, okay.
Especially with it being like in the cloud, you can instantly just kind of try it out. I've done that a couple times as well. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to wait 5 minutes to download this. Let me just see what this is real quick.
Yeah, what's
real
this
quick.
taste like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Like I wouldn't have played, Unpacking if it wasn't free. I wouldn't have played It Takes Two if it wasn't on Game Pass. I dabbled in the Artful Escape, decided I hated it. It's just like, hey, I didn't have to pay money for this thing I didn't end up liking.
But on
And
that
it's because
same tip,
there's no demo discs anymore, so I may as well do this.
on that same thing, I feel like I scam someone when I do enjoy something and I play
Yeah, a
through
little
it
bit,
in
yeah.
completion.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I will buy it somewhere just because I want to give someone money for it.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
very ethical of you. I enjoy that.
Yeah. Like Pupperazzi, Jan, you played some Pupperazzi. Is that on game? I believe that's on Game Pass.
Yeah, it
Did you
is.
make that up?
Yeah.
Did you make this is the name of a real game?
Pupperazzi. Matthew
We played some of this on
Rory's
Friday.
Pupperazzi. It's cute, and I feel like there's been a lot of games in the photography world. This time, you play as an actual camera. Are you holding a camera, or are you just using
I
your
think
own
you are the
body?
camera.
You are
You're
the
a
camera, right?
I
Yeah.
think you're the camera with arms
Camera
and
with
legs.
legs
Yeah.
that just hops around
You
and
get
double
all
jumps. and-
wiggly waggly and stuff.
Got
This is
cool spots physique, but
Yep.
you're a camera.
yes, actually, the cool spot physique.
That's
And
what I'm going for.
it's not a serious game like an Umurangi Generations. You are taking pictures of numerous dogs around an island. It's not on rails like a Pokemon Snap, and I kind of like this exploration aspect of it, where you can just pet the dogs and throw a stick. I threw a banana at a dog, and then it was like, what's up with that, man? But then I petted it, and then we're all cool. And then the game starts you with like a little a sailor dog that's on a thing, and then like there's no voice acting in it. barely any barking as well. But
Barely any barking. Wow.
I just imagine like the little sailor pup going like, "Ruh, ruh, 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 ruh." And it's a super basic game. It feels very bare bones, where all the objectives are just in a menu, and generally it just consists of like, take a picture of a dog near a lighthouse. Now take it in portrait style. What about black and white? And it's neat how they'll slowly dole out little stuff like, all right, now you get to play with different film stocks. Now you get to use the shop where you can buy a stick, and then you got to get all these dogs to sit on this bench together and look at you at the same time. And then there's like what was the sweary game where everyone turned into animals last year?
Oh, The
Is
Good
that
Life.
The Good Life.
Yes, The Good Life. There's an
Which
aspect.
I haven't played yet. Fuck! I knew there was something I missed. Fuck!
Yeah,
I think you
jumped
can.
into-
Maybe you can miss. Maybe you can
I
miss it.
kickstartered that. Damn.
Yeah, it's, you know.
Also
I
on
like
Game
Sweary's
Pass.
weird, boring games.
Also on Game
Yeah.
Pass. You know, if you're curious.
Oh, okay.
And where there's like a fake social aspect where you're uploading your dog pics, those types of D pics online, and people are
Mhm.
fake engaging with them. I think it just further highlights that I have a camera problem in real life, because then I started getting very cognizant of like, oh no, I only have 6 shots left. Just like in real life, film is very expensive. It costs like
sure.
9 bones to get one roll of film. And like you only get like 12 exposures in the game, and for each little film stock you buy. It's wild, but
Wow.
you can pet the dogs. You can pet the dogs.
Every one of them.
Every one of
Hundreds
them.
or something.
Yeah.
And they're like very minimally animated, and they're just like hopping around.
The
They're
hopping is the
adorable.
I could not deal with that. That was so fucking funny that they were just hopping around like little birds. You know how little birds hop instead of walk? It was that, but every single dog did that, big and small, and I just thought it was the stupidest, funniest thing.
I was very scared when I saw a dog hopping on water, and then I thought like, what is this game trying to teach me? But then I realized, oh,
dog.
this game, there's just some stuff they decide not to include or worry about developing any water physics.
Yeah,
Dogs are holy, blameless creatures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
exactly.
Yeah, I like giving them a little pat on the butt, and then they'll turn around and be like, I love you,
Aw.
dog. What's up? Great.
Mhm.
It's
They
cute.
call you dog?
In my head, it's dog, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They call
How,
everyone dog.
Yeah,
They
they're
don't
dogs.
know any better.
insufferable.
Yeah.
How insufferable do you think the game would be if it did have voice acting and all of the dogs rocked like this?
Raw, 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 raw.
No, I would love it.
Oh no.
I don't
Every-
know.
Every
like that.
single voice actor did that Scooby Doo shit.
100%. Get what's his face on the phone? Who did Scooby Doo in the new Scooby movie?
I don't know.
Will Forte?
Oh,
No, he was
North,
Shaggy.
probably,
Never
but I
mind.
don't know. Yeah.
Pupperazzi. It's a neat little title. Again, it's that same instance that Jeff was just bringing up, where I don't know if I'd check it out if I didn't have Game Pass.
Gotta call this something. It's gonna. You need a word for it.
Like, I feel like it's coming from a different side of it, where it's like, this is a very chill vibes kind of game that is like, it's not super difficult. It's just kind of like,
I got
here's another laid back indie game in the vein of like, I don't know, Donut County or, you know.
Yeah.
Before I forget.
Okay.
We'll just call it Thereware.
Yeah.
There, it's
Thereware?
there.
It
Because it's just
exists.
there.
It's
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
I like
Come on,
it.
it plays real nice.
I like it.
Shareware.
Oh, I
free-
like
come on,
it.
it's
I
just
like it.
Thereware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just gotta like ruminate on
I feel
it.
like
I gotta
Pupperazzi
marinate.
doesn't fit with that, because Pupperazzi, it's like it's just kind of, it's chill.
there.
It is what it is. Whereas I feel like it's the Thereware is like the stuff that is, you know,
Skatebird.
I feel so bad.
Oh.
Skatebird
Skatebird
should
is
have been
Thereware, yo. It's
Yeah.
Thereware.
better.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
Game
just
Passable.
wasn't.
Treebot 9000. That's also good.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Kind
I
of
like it. I like it too.
So I think Thereware applies to more like a Crackdown 3 or like a Rainbow Six Extraction or an
Sure.
Outriders, where it's like, yeah, you could do this. I feel like I don't know, maybe you're right.
I wonder if the demographic for Pupperazzi is probably younger than us, though. Like,
Oh,
it's not
I don't
very
know.
gamey. It's not very
don't know
difficult. It's like
about
maybe
that.
it's for like a 10-year-old. I don't know.
Like its focus on film cameras and lenses to me betrays
Kids
a certain
know that
demographic.
Shit. Kids know that
Dude,
shit.
kids do not. Kids.
No,
kids love film
They
cameras.
they understand filters and stuff. They're all up on TikTok and shit. There's no heavy duty photography knowledge in this big paparazzi, guys.
Oh, there's black and white film. Excuse me.
Wow.
Yeah, sure.
Portrait mode.
Paparazzi does not hold your hand with this stuff. Obviously, it's for hardcore
Well, like
gamers.
when you ask some children that are like born recently, and you ask them to take a photo, they won't go like this anymore. They'll go like this.
Oh, do you do that in the game with the controller? Is it a little camera?
No, but then
have
you
to
ask like a
physically do
child to
that?
take a photo, they'll think like, all right, this is a photo. Like, how come it's like turned sideways?
You can turn your phone sideways.
Yes, but some children don't think
Nobody
about
does
turning it
anymore.
sideways.
What are you
should.
people talking about?
It's the same thing where when
It's not even
kids,
goatee deliberations yet, and we're shouting at each other.
when kids pretend to be on the
Practicing.
telephone now, they don't do this, they do this.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, but what the hell kind of like phone was this?
A
though?
flip
I mean,
phone,
Yeah.
dude.
This is
Flip?
just
What
what
kind
a
of flip phone? That
very
it was
the
specific.
rotary-
You know, any kind of handset that you hold up to your face would have one piece here, one piece there. Like
Yeah,
that makes
no, I know.
sense. Like
Just seems like it might.
Well, now this can be like the
you know,
streamer
penetrate.
setup because you've got the little microphone that comes down.
You're-
That can still be a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll agree with you on this, Jess.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
All
What are we
right.
doing? All right, we got a new category.
Yeah.
That's great.
Unsurprisingly, you have started over and started playing Monster Hunter Rise all over again. I know you said,
Fuck.
hey, I put in a lot of hours on the Switch version. I don't know about this PC version, but here we are.
Yep, I was like, no fucking way am I gonna, just throw away these 200 plus hours that I've put into the Switch version just for some pretty graphics and a nice frame rate. Fuck that. Why would I ever? Oh God, it looks so good though.
Oh man, Jason, don't drag me into this
It looks
too,
so
though.
fucking good. Like the high resolution texture pack and shit. Oh my God, it's so crisp, and the fucking frame rate is uncapped.
Oh man.
Whoa.
That's really all that they're adding to it.
Yeah.
But they've got some filters and
It
shit
ends
that make it
there.
fucking black and white or make it look like film stock.
Great. All right. Game of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right
there you go.
Kids will love it.
But God damn it, does it? Oh, it fucking looks good. It really does. And I'm playing it again. And I'm sorry about that. That I'm
Okay.
such a fucking
Don't apologize.
hypocrite. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's okay.
Oh.
The Switch doesn't run games well. We all know it.
It's true, but it ran it well enough that I played it for hundreds of fucking hours.
Yeah.
We all have our weaknesses, Jason.
But it's a good fucking game. It's a good fucking game, and it looks really.
So I'm
quite
trying to
good
remember what
with those high
Rise, what
resolution
is the difference in
textures.
Rise between that and like a Monster Hunter World? Is it like
So they've expanded on a couple ideas, like from Monster Hunter World. You know, late in the game, they kind of added that clutch claw thing,
right?
which is kind of like a grappling hook. So in Rise, they added the wire bugs, which
Right. Okay. Yes.
help with
I
the
remember this
movement
now.
and fucking climbing up straight surfaces and stuff. You can hang in midair. You can use those for silk blind attacks, so you can actually mount a monster and ride it and fight with it. It's pretty fucking cool. Not only that, but the Palamute riding. In World, you could ride on some of the endemic life,
Mhm.
but you didn't really have control over it. It just kind of fired or went along like a certain path. Now you have full control over, where you're going and climb up walls and stuff. So yeah, they've expanded this version of Rise, like this. They've expanded Rise more than any other version of Monster Hunter, I think. Like they've just added that much stuff more to it than in previous iterations, where it was just maybe they did some verticality to it or something. Maybe they made the maps a little bit bigger.
That's stuff that was in the Switch version of the game, isn't it? There's no, other than the visual stuff, there's no real difference.
No real
in the
difference.
games themselves,
No.
right? Okay.
But the textures are fucking good.
Man, that stuff goes a long way.
It does, but the pre-rendered cutscenes still run at 30, which is a huge bummer.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything else looks real good.
Just play it on a TV and turn on like true motion,
Hey, there you
the
go.
motion smoothing, and make those 30 frames per second cutscenes look like 60.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to your parents' house and turn on the motion smoothing. That's what I say.
Fucking A.
That's just too much. That's a bridge too far, I'm afraid.
So I bought this TV, and it's, you know, these TVs all ship with that shit on. But on top of that, it ships with it on every single input. So every time I changed input, I had to turn it off all over again. When I started using apps like the Plex app or like the YouTube, like various apps, like I'd have to turn it off there as well.
Oh my god!
And so
it's a situation.
Yeah. But
Wait.
also,
You're saying it had the setting in how many places?
The true motion.
every input, including different apps and stuff.
So okay, because that's weird. Yeah, how do you have to go into the individual app to change it within there?
Well, you have to bring up the picture options the same way you would on an HDMI input. Basically, it treats any app like it's its own input, and so you can tune the color balance, or, you know, whatever your sharpness, all that other shit.
Psychotic, yeah.
And so and there is a setting for like apply to all inputs that I used once I had kind of set it up. You know, it's one of the things where I watched a YouTube video that was like, here's how you set up this TV to run Xbox games good. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do that because I don't fucking know any of this shit. But then I had to do that for every input. Like, okay, well, I assume these will still work for a PlayStation, so I'll do that here. And then I'll set it up over here. And then, the Plex app is suddenly, like, I was trying to watch The Matrix, the first one, before the new one came out. And I was watching it for a while and I was like, man, this looks good. I was like, oh, wait, this looks too good. Wait, hang on. Wait, what the fuck's going on? And then realized it was on there, too.
Oh, wow. See, good would not be my reaction.
Right.
I'd be like, this looks weird and stupid.
No, you see, that's your problem, Jeff Bakalar.
No.
You're not a gamer, baby.
See, no, the
the higher the frame rate is, the better the thing is. So if
that
number
might be
is up to
true.
60,
it's true I hear what you're saying. It's true in video games because these are not artificially generated frames. What Motion Plus does is create frames out of nothing.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Just
Why
like
are we
DLSS,
okay with this?
all this other stuff. We're using AI to make things better.
I mean, look, some of the NVIDIA upscaling shit is very impressive. It works really well. But when you are creating shit that isn't there, that was not shot, when a video game's your source, there's no, like, it hasn't been printed and put in a can, right? It's not done. That's the big difference. And that's why all of your programming looks so fucking freakish and weird.
Yes, it does look freakish and weird. But sometimes I watch it and I go, I like how smooth this is.
You hurry. Somebody pull him out. He's getting grabbed into the sewer. He's like poltergeist.
I bought a better video card for television.
No.
Fuck the, oh, no.
It in a
Look
better
away.
frame rate.
Look
I
away.
was watching. What the fuck were we watching? My wife wanted.
Bluey.
It was like it was like one of the songs from Guys and Dolls. Just pull it up on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all that shit was on. So you're watching like super old fucking footage and it's running at 60 through this weird fucking maniacal demon technology. And you're watching it go, this looks, my brain is breaking. And the more I watched it, I was like, I kind of like the way my brain is breaking.
No.
Getting Joker-fied.
Oh, okay.
Video games did this to me. This monitor runs at 165 frames a second. That shit runs at 24 frames a second. Am I a fucking hobo? Do I live on a train? I do not. 165 frames.
No, you are you are requesting to be inserted into the Matrix with that kind of ass backwards thinking. That is what you're basically Cypher, who's just like, I know this movie isn't supposed to be 180 frames a second, but I don't know. I didn't know. You're like, no, that's the problem. This is the first step. Change of plans. Second half of the Bombcast is talking your ass out of this.
It's an intervention now.
I did turn it all off. Like I did have a moment where I was like, I kind of like how this looks. I like this. And then I was like, I have to turn it off. It's too much. I can't.
Yeah.
But then when I turned it off, it was like, also we were watching Frozen because my daughter is
one or two.
Just wants to watch Frozen. We've watched both, but we're watching Frozen Fever a lot lately, which is an 8-minute short. But yeah, a lot of Frozen 2. which, you know, it's interesting to see them make a movie about like, colonization and, you know, how fucked up it is. But it's just told in a very weird way. And the songs are way worse. But so that was a weird thing where it was computer generated 3D models and all this other stuff. And then it was on, so it was like running at 60, and I was like, "Man, this look good." What turn on fucking boost mode over here on this PS4? This is like
I saw some of Cars 2 with motion smoothing on at like some grandma's house I was visiting for some reason, and the little grandkids were watching it, and I was just like, "What the this is demonic looking." Like it looked like, I don't know, it looked like footage running backwards at like 120.
It was a
like,
glimpse into the
percent.
future, Jeffs.
exactly.
It was really fucked up looking. The animation looked like shit. Everything looked like it was moving too fast, but it wasn't. And it was breaking my brain a little bit. And I thought, like, what's this doing to the children? Is this okay to do to a young mind?
Yeah, I turned off the motion smoothing while we were watching Frozen.
Yeah, I turned it off on that computer.
And
what did your daughter
that
do?
TV.
She didn't notice it. I turned it off, and then it looked like shit.
Revolted.
It was like, why does this look so stuttery? What the fuck, man? Get a fucking water cool this fucking television. Water cool this fucking thing. We need a new graphics card for this because now it's running like shit, and it's fucked, man. It's like, I think like coming at it from a perspective of I spend almost an infinite amount of time more playing video games than I do watching any kind of television or movie.
Sure.
Like I am coming at it from that angle, and it looks, and sometimes it looks nice, and sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is fucked up and unnatural, but
Encanto looked good.
Okay.
did that run at because I know that like they've made, it was a handful of movies that they just shot at a higher frame rate, right? So I think that's the answer, is like we need to just go that route and just start shooting everything at a minimum of 165 hertz.
Oh boy,
I don't know. If
I felt
that's-
sick watching The Hobbit at like 48.
Yeah, at 48,
48's
right?
not 60, man. What the
Yeah.
fuck is 48? If you put in
48.
a goddamn video game and it maxed out at 48 frames a second, you'd be pissed.
Fair
You'd
enough.
be pissed, but it's
I
better
also
than
got
30.
nauseous at The Hobbit.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's. I mean, look, cameras can do like
Too many frames.
I don't know, many frames. It's not real. Like, I don't think there is a tangible benefit to putting the cost, to sinking the cost into rendering an animated movie out at 120 frames per second when like 60 or 30 or whatever they do seems to be just fine.
If they did 60, that'd probably be just fine. They're not doing it. I think I imagine that Frozen is just 24 because it's a movie, right? So
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure about that.
Well, nothing's on like physical film anymore, is
right.
it?
Well, no,
Well,
but like cameras that shoot to mimic and emulate film do a 24 frames per second.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But, like,
I
I
don't
don't
know,
really know how like movies are delivered to theaters anymore, but are they still on big
They're
physical
digital.
reels? They're
They're, like,
digital,
big
right?
hard
So
drives,
like,
yeah.
so like the limitation of like the physical machine that runs the movie for you is gone now. So why would they continue doing 24 unless it's some sort of like animation
it's the-
quirk that I don't
it's
know
the-
about?
I think it like people watch it and they understand it to like they take it more seriously because they're like, well, this is what movies look like. You know,
Yeah,
like
24 frames has a look that is kind of
yeah.
beautiful. So I don't think we should
That's-
change that. Maybe, I don't know.
But like, do you think this is generational? Do you think eventually like we become more and more disconnected from 24 frames a second just as a people?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Over time. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going away in feature films anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the
that's
style,
sort of
because like you
standard.
take
Getting
like
there.
a found footage style film and like that can be shot at 60.
Sure.
I think what was the Hardcore Henry or something that was all
Yeah.
shot on a
Yes, the
GoPro?
first person.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
I
that.
saw
you
that
can-
in the, somehow that movie is one of the handful of movies I saw in a theater over the last 10 years. In Fresno, I think.
Aye.
No,
We went to-
Encanto.
My wife went to go see Paul McCartney in concert, and so we had to drive to Fresno.
That's a reason.
And I spent a night in Fresno, and she went to the concert and I didn't because the tickets were like a fucking $1 trillion.
Yeah, I bet.
And like, no, you go. find my way in Fresno, get some meth and like, do up Fresno the way Fresno is meant to be done. But no, I ended up just going and seeing Hardcore Henry, which is a similar experience in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's a cool fucking movie. It's such nonsense. It's such fucking, but again, that movie, a lot like a video game, because it's all first person, and it ends with him fighting a guy that might as well be fucking Orochi fucking Iori from King of Fighters. Like, just like, he fights a King of Fighters guy at the end of that fucking movie.
Cool.
It's fucking
Cool.
It's
nonsense. Anyway, what else? Jess, you played some Cruelty Squad.
Yeah.
Speaking of fucking insanity.
Insanity. I did that because you mentioned it jokingly as Goaty, unless you're not joking. Unless.
Who can say?
Unless. Yeah, I almost bounced off it because holy shit, it's ugly. And also I'm just not very good at first person shooters. Just gotta put that out there. I'm sorry to everyone I've let down. I'm not very good at them. So I'm, total ass at this game. Functionally speaking, I cannot play it very good, but it's compelling. It's oddly compelling. I don't know why I'm so like interested and invested in it. It's so strange and it's so goddamn ugly. I just have to see like what else is it gonna do to me. I don't know. There's something about it that I'm very invested in, despite being total dog shit at playing it.
The upgrade system, as you start to purchase the body parts that give you a grappling hook and some of this other stuff, like it's just, that game is unpleasant to look at and even less pleasant to play, and I love it.
Yeah, there's more systems in it than there ought to be for a game this ugly. Like, it's like they purposefully, there's some je ne sais quoi here. Like, why the fuck did they decide to make this so goddamn ugly? And also have these incredible weird systems going on. Like, there's a fishing mini game. Fucking why? I don't know why. There's a stock market that fluctuates, and I think you can affect it. I'm pretty sure you might be able to.
Body parts.
You're selling body parts. You can sell and buy stock, and like some of the stock is in like certain companies where it's just like, wait, I work for this company. Can I like insider trade? Can I like affect the stock of this? Like, I got questions that are happening just because there's these other systems going on that have no place in a game like this. And I'm just like completely enamored by the fact that they even wanted to do that in the first place. So it's interesting. I want to play more of it.
Yeah, there is once you kind of get past the like, I think that like the first level of that is you play it and go, haha, what a funny joke, how weird this is and how ugly it is. But as you spend more time with it, you're like, oh, there's like a lot of thought put into making all of this stuff. Like there's a cohesive vision at the center of that thing, and it's madness, but it's cohesive madness.
Yeah, and it's I think it's a big critique on like the hyper capitalist, doom of all of us that's encroaching upon us soon. It's like, are we just gonna be buying and selling organs next? Is there gonna be a stock market for that? Fucking, I don't know. Why not? And it's like, I don't know, there's like some sort of thing going on here with like commodification and like capitalism and stuff, and it's just like, whoa, this game's like pissed off about something, and I want to find out exactly what it's pissed off about, and I'm really interested.
No, I think you got it. I think you got what it's pissed off about.
But I want to see more of that though.
Yeah,
I like the rage.
my problem with it is that I at the end of the day, I don't think it plays amazingly well, like and some of that you go like, well, it's kind of supposed to be rough, but like it gets to a point where you're like, I want to see this thing through, but like I'm fighting against the mess of this, and it's unsettling. It leaves you ill at ease as you play it because of just how off-putting a lot of the visual style is, and I like that about it.
There's something fucking cool about that. There's something punk about that. Gritty about doing that I really admire. The music is irritating too. Sometimes it slaps, but then it's just like, oh, it's just this same loop forever. Great. And I think it's got like a lot of like little Deus Ex DNA in it, because there's a lot of like Like the map designs are surprisingly like more intricate than I thought they would be for how like straight up hideous this game is. I thought like, oh, it's just gonna be one big room with a bunch of guys in it. There's a stairway, whatever. But it's like there's all these alternate entrances, alternate routes to go. If you have different skills, you can do different stuff to infiltrate areas and stuff like that. And there's lots of little sneaky events and stuff like that that are really hard to find. There's all sorts of crazy powers. There's one power up that is $1 bajillion and I'm never going to be able to afford it, but it's called like the Eye of the Market, and it lets you like see what the stock market is going to do so you can insider trade psychically or something. Like there's all sorts of crazy crap going on in here, and it's like this is like being as jank looking, like there was clearly so much care and effort put into this. I'm fascinated by this weird piece of shit. I love it.
Yeah, it's a disaster and like just a singular whatever. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that later this week, I guess.
I'm stuck on the mall level right now.
Yeah, there's some parts of it that are pretty
cops are
rough,
too
I guess.
big.
Yeah.
Cops are too big. They're large.
Jeff Backlar, it just says here a Wordle thing.
Yeah, I'm still getting
Didn't I
over your
block that word?
fucking.
What the hell?
What's that?
Shit. I thought I blocked the. Oh, that was on Twitter. I'm sorry.
I'm still getting over your fucking motion smoothing thing, so forgive me.
It's you know, deep down,
No,
I'm making a sane argument for a bad thing. I know that. I know it's wrong.
I think I'll give you this. And again, I'm not arguing against high frame rates. I'm arguing against artificial creation of frames that aren't there. So if you're shooting a hockey game at 120 frames per second, I would love to fucking watch a hockey game at 120 frames per second. Like some of that slow motion stuff when it's played back slower, it's amazing, right? Like cameras that do 4K 120 now, it's awesome, instantly awesome. I took pictures. I took a movie of a whale at 4K 120, and I watched it for an hour straight, over and over and over again. It's amazing. But like stuff that's not shot natively like that, it's a fucking crime. Anyway,
that's everything now. Think about the number of different things that are just like, well, we've used AI to, like fuck Ted Turner colorizing films. Like we're so past that now, where we can interpolate these frames. We can like, have you seen someone ran like the fucking Rick Astley music video through something that up-resed it to 4K and made it run at 60? Great. And like the clarity is, even though it's all fake, right? It's like, it's guessing at that clarity, but it looks fucking incredible. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, it's you know what it is? It's like the technology of like enhance, where it's really actually starting to happen.
Right.
Because
the nightmare that Dick Wolf put us into.
Yes.
There is enough sort of visual AI that just based on the tiniest bit of information, you can extrapolate and build upon so much. Look, it's interesting for sure. And I also think the moment in time that we're talking about is going to be just a blip on the radar down the road too. So look, I love whales and I love high frames per second. And
Wordle at 60 frames per second. Imagine.
Wordle for me is there where, okay, it's just this thing.
Yeah, it is.
But here's something fucked up that happened to me the other day, and I want to talk it out with you, my friends.
Right.
So I've been made aware of an extremely effective Wordle strategy. And the source of this Wordle strategy, and I'm not going to say the Wordle strategy because it, in my mind, in my opinion, it is a spoiler. If you hear this
it ruins the game.
It basically ruins the game and makes it just simple. It basically turns it into like a guaranteed fourth guess.
Wordle spoilers, everyone. Wordle spoilers.
Just
be
saying,
aware.
Somehow Wordle is spoiler.
Like guaranteed fourth guess. Like who cares? Getting 4 is like child's play, no matter what.
I guess
if you could cheat your way into 3, we'd be talking. But like my average is 4.
Yeah, mine's 4. I feel like. I don't want to I don't want to say it.
Forbidden
if you
knowledge.
Think about it long enough, it's probably obvious.
Involve things that you would not be able to do if you turned on hard mode.
Yes.
because I think that's the only strategy I've seen going around, and I feel
Yes.
like that it is against the spirit of the
spirit, yeah.
game to
It's a spirit
deliberately
So
ignore the hints that you are given off of your first
100%.
guess.
100%. So, but here's where it gets a little conspiratorial here, right?
Okay.
I discovered this strategy through that Sudoku solving YouTube channel.
I was
that
going
I
to guess
adore.
cracking the
So
cryptic.
now it's got me thinking that there's some sort of fucking culture war between logic puzzles, okay, where Big Sudoku sees
Big
Wordle
Sudoku.
as a threat. And I gotta tell you, it's starting to make me think.
Mm.
I've been doing a lot of my own
Oh,
research.
all the money.
Okay, I've been checking up on this shit. And it's pretty fucked up that the source, okay, for all of my Sudoku strategy and my ASMR falling asleep at night needs, thought it was so important to incorporate foolproof, bulletproof Wordle strategy on their channel, where they don't even do anything else besides number puzzles, and they do other logic puzzles too.
Yeah, you got to
but
get
they
those
don't
views,
do-
man. World's hot.
Just saying, follow the money. Okay,
Follow the
just
views,
saying.
more like.
just saying, follow the
That's
views.
the money.
They obviously see big Wordle, big Sudoku sees big Wordle as a threat. And I just got to tell you, like, and when you read the strategy, you're like, oh, of course, this makes perfect sense. It's obviously how you should play this game. But now every day when I do it, I just like find myself doing the strategy, and it kind of sucks now.
You got to turn on hard mode and have some
Yeah,
discipline.
I think I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do
Yeah.
that. I'm going to challenge myself a
What
little
sort
bit.
of
So curious.
Sudoku are they playing over on that channel? Because I just started playing Hatsune Miku Logic Paint S for the Xbox.
What the
and
hell
it's
is that?
Good
It's
one.
a decent Sudoku game
So,
on PC and Xbox.
so they do all these like non-traditional rule sets. So it's always the normal Sudoku, like 9 in a box, column and row, but it's usually puzzles that have no given numbers, and instead we'll do like there's thermometers. You know what that is? That's when like you can draw a squiggly thermometer, and the bulb is a number that is higher than any of the other numbers in the line for the thermometer. There's arrow Sudoku, which I don't know what that's called. There's another name besides arrow, and it's basically this arrow that points to a box, and where the arrow terminates into a circle, that has to be the sum of all of the numbers along the arrow. Then there's killer Sudoku, which is
Whoa.
cages inside the Sudoku grid. So those are dotted little cages that'll sort of enclose anywhere from like 3 to 9 numbers. And then there's a little number in the top corner, and all of the numbers inside that cage have to equal that number. Then there's like
child
little
slavery
there's just-
Sudoku, where you just have a camp full of kids that are figuring out Sudoku puzzles for you.
My
Combine
brain
3 of
broke,
them.
'cause the Hatsune Miku Logic Puzzle S is actually a Picross, not a Sudoku. I
love
Yeah.
Picross.
Picross is
Hate
great.
Sudoku.
Yeah, it's like
Picross is
it's
great.
cut out of that a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's all these different sort of like rule sets. There's there's like palindrome ones where like all the numbers on one side are the same as all the other ones on that side. But
Jesus.
the wild thing is like you have to know certain strategies in Sudoku that give you hints to how you work
Mhm.
through and solve this sort of stuff. So like the biggest thing, or the easiest thing to remember that sort of tips you off about a lot of stuff, is the rule that the numbers 1 through 9 added together are 45. So you can use that math a lot when it comes to like figuring out what number these two numbers equal 10, whatever they are. So that, cancels out a certain amount. Just stuff like that, where it's thinking about Sudoku in a way that's not just like, well, I need 1 through 9. Whereas, that's for, like you said, that's for hobos, really, that kind of Sudoku.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
and
don't know.
also
That's-
someone in chat reminded me that these people also have been doing some game streaming that's like logic game streaming. So they did Return of the Obra Dinn, which is fun to watch these like Sudoku
cool.
nerds do
Oh,
that.
Interesting.
They did that. They did The
Yeah.
Witness.
Oh,
They did Baba Is You.
Didn't they find the witness to be chump shit or something like that?
I don't know. They were doing it blindfolded. I have
yeah,
no
like,
idea. I
yeah,
have no idea.
something crazy like that.
Yeah. But it's fun. They've got so there's a community of these people who create puzzles all the time, and this guy like decides to do one a day, and it's It puts me right to sleep.
Just like this conversation.
Hey,
What kind of frame rate does those streams run at?
11.
Oh, fuck that.
You don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's 30. But
30, come on.
I know. It's
God.
again another hobo endeavor. For
Garbage. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some news. How many free trials do you have on your credit card that maybe turned into things that are actually charging you? You know, it's odds are you got one lingering on there. You're like, I use this sometimes. Like, I want to watch the movies, but I only watch them once every 8 months or something. You know, we've all got some ridiculous subscription just sitting there charging over and over again. You want to get rid of that stuff? You want to make it easy? Truebill. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions that you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 per year with Truebill. You know, companies make subscriptions hard to cancel in some cases. We try not to do that. We deliberately built our thing to do that. Maybe that's on us. Maybe we should have done it the other way. I don't know. Maybe that's a mistake on our part. Trying to be honest or whatever. But a lot of companies make those subscriptions hard to cancel. So Truebill makes it simple. You just link up your accounts and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so that you don't have to. Over 2 million users have used Truebill and it's helped them save over $100 million. Like Matthew B., who says, in a matter of seconds, I saved $660 for the year on my DirecTV bill, saved $120 for the year on my SiriusXM bill, and saved $840 a year on car insurance. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/bomb. Go right now, truebill.com/bomb. It could save you thousands a year. truebill.com/bomb. All right, you're successful in business because you love doing the research, whether it's the state of the market or the next right hire. But when you're low on hours and you still want to do a great job on hiring, who do you go to for help? It's time for Indeed. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find the right candidates with the right skills, you just need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. That's Indeed. Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. You can find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. And as soon as you sponsor a post with Instant Match, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description. And you can invite them to apply right away. Plus, you only pay for quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. Indeed makes it easy to hire great talent. And according to ComScore, Indeed is the #1 job site worldwide, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. That's according to Talent Nest. A nest of talent. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/bomb. Offer valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/bomb to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/bomb. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire? You need Indeed. And we're back, and it's time for the news. Starting with, did you hear that Microsoft's going to buy Activision?
Whoa, no.
What?
Hear about that?
No.
When did this
Bullshit.
happen?
They're going to put,
Bullshit.
they're
For
going
like
to put the Call of Duty inside
2
of Halo.
billion,
Fuck that.
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
I don't
They
believe it.
already kind of did.
Yeah. I mean, they sort of did. Why not finish the job? So it's been about a week since the announcement of Microsoft's intent to purchase Activision Blizzard. And along the way, there's been a lot of reporting around the edges, you know, kind of a roundup of quotes and all this other stuff. So to kind of follow up on some of that, probably the biggest one, I guess, is the notion that Xbox intends to honor its existing contracts with Sony, and it has a desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, according to a tweet from CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer.
Newly minted CEO. Yes.
Yes. He says, Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our relationship there. And that he was on a call with them as part of this to say like, oh yeah, no, yeah, we're not, yes, we're not going to break a bunch of contracts and cause a bunch of weird lawsuits. Sony, gave a quote to Wall Street Journal at some point saying, we expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform.
Or else.
And then Activision also said, we have no intention of removing games from PlayStation after the acquisition. Which is all, yeah. At some point, this is all kind of not really saying much of anything. Right. Because honoring existing contracts, we don't know what the current Activision and Sony contract looks like, or when it expires, or when it was renegotiated, anything like that. So, that deal was for Call of Duty to appear on PlayStation and I believe get DLC first. So it comes first to PlayStation and then Xbox after the fact. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but it was like, hey, all these maps are free now anyway, but hey, the stuff's going to start early over here. But at times that's been like, hey, there's a bonus mode, like Modern Warfare had an additional mode in it that was exclusive to PlayStation for however long, but it was not some huge factor, and so it's hard to know what happens after this contract is up, because they intend to honor existing contracts. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go forge new ones. And I don't know. I don't know that I believe that once this expires, if like pure straight up Call of Duty remains a multi-platform game, the free to play battle royale game that's already there, of course.
Sure.
We said last week, it's a similar chain of events that happened after the Bethesda buyout, right?
Yeah.
Where it was like,
Elder Scrolls Online is still there. Hey, Minecraft is still a multi-platform game after they bought that. Like it's.
And then I think like it was maybe 4 months or 5 months before it was just like, we intend to make things very exclusive.
Yeah, like new things, the stuff that we haven't already. Of course, Deathloop is going to debut on PlayStation. That deal's already done. We're not going to lawyer our way out of it. That'd be insane. But that doesn't mean that there's going to be a Deathloop 2 on a PlayStation console or something like that down the line. It's just ambiguous, right? I feel like they could do anything based on what the numbers tell them to do. If they run the numbers and do the math and it says, hey, you know what, actually, we make more money putting Call of Duty out on PlayStation and keeping it multi-platform, and then also kind of using that as hey, you didn't have to pay $70 for this if you had an Xbox or whatever. Maybe that's still a decent ad for Game Pass at the end of the day.
Do you think that kind of forces Call of Duty players that aren't on a Microsoft platform to maybe just go all in on Warzone then, and then just be like, fuck it, I don't care about the annual release then?
It's all up in the air, right? So I think even, there are quotes out there kind of saying that maybe even the annual release of Call of Duty is something that could change. There's a lot of different pieces to this, because obviously Activision has a big esports thing built around Call of Duty. So what does that mean for that stuff? I am assuming a lot of that stuff is probably played on PlayStation because of the deal put in place. But I don't know that for sure. But maybe that's something that moves to more of an Xbox or PC sort of environment or something like that. So you end up with a lot of different ins and outs around that. So what does it mean if you've got an exclusive contract to put annual Call of Duty on PlayStation, but you're not making Call of Duty annually anymore? What does that do? Like what does that, if they start putting one out every 2 years or 3 years, or just support it longer and say, hey, I think arguably, maybe not from a monetary perspective, but from me playing a video game perspective, I wish that they would have just taken Modern Warfare and supported it for the last 4 years or 3 years or however long it's been, instead of putting out Black Ops, instead of putting out Vanguard, because that game is better than those.
Or do they move it to like smaller releases to tell like stories within Call of Duty, where like those aren't like full $60 titles anymore? They're like $40 like condensed campaigns where it's like
you break up the campaign, you break it out and issue it separately. That's I mean, if you look at what EA is thinking about with Battlefield in terms of like what they can do with a mobile game and a different single player kind of campaign experience, like they're kind of running through those experiments probably right now and thinking about what they want to do next. And that was something that you always thought, that there was going to be a year where Activision said, fuck it, we're splitting zombies out into its own thing because it's popular enough or whatever. But like, they liked having that huge number on one product. They liked being able to say, this is the best selling video game in this entire industry. So keeping all that together did that for them. And it made a lot of sense for Activision, but does that continue to make as much sense for Microsoft? I don't think we know. But the indication, I think, is that they are open to messing around with that stuff. And personally, I think that would be better for the long-term health of the franchise. But, you know, we'll see. Washington Post has a story. They spoke with Phil Spencer a little bit here and talked about some of the, obviously, the stuff going around Activision between the strike of the QA employees at Raven and a lot of the stuff at Blizzard, you know, just the things that led to this deal happening in the first place, all of the pay disparity and harassment and criminal acts and all this other stuff. Anyway, the quote he gave there is, I believe the leaders there believe in the opportunity that they have in their plan in addressing the potential of bringing on, this is about union stuff specifically, I'm sorry. And that he believes that Microsoft will aim to empower its new employees to do their best work. It's kind of a non-answer that doesn't say, yeah, they should unionize, because no CEO is probably ever going to say that out loud. But it's a quality non-answer.
Good at that.
Yeah, there's a little bit in that same interview about some of the list of IPs, and he has expressed excitement for things like King's Quest and Guitar Hero and Hexen, you know, and there's a quote here. We're hoping that we'll be able to work with them when the deal closes to make sure we have the resources to work on franchises that I love from my childhood, which is how I would run a game company personally. And that the teams really want to get. I'm looking forward to these conversations. I really think it's about adding resources and increasing capability. So if you love a specific Activision franchise, there's a chance that on the other end of this, maybe you'll see more of it. Which is kind of all I wanted to hear out of this deal, is that they would not just sit on all that stuff and continue to be a Call of Duty house.
It churn out the same 3 IPs year after year. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's heartening to hear this. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff there that they could be tapping into. Last week we also talked about the notion of what this might do to unionization efforts. Those QA testers at Raven have voted to unionize. A team of 34 QA testers have voted to unionize. They went on strike in early December and asked Activision to formally recognize the union. And so they are continuing down that road. We'll see how that all goes, but that's very interesting. You know, that we've not seen. I feel like this has to be the furthest step in terms of a union involving employees of a major publisher in North America, probably, if not just the U.S. But
their asses.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Call of Duty's not doing amazingly well. Reports of kind of diminished sales or stuff we've touched on before, but also the game itself is in kind of rough shape.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, they have issued multiple apologies around like lack of communication and like a lot of current issues involved both in Warzone and just in Vanguard. And they put out a couple versions of an apology some on social that get more kind of down to the nitty gritty of like, hey, we are aware that some of the skins in Warzone are showing up kind of invisible, which is not ideal for
competitive
Not
game.
ideal.
Shooter. But yeah, the version that they put on their site on callofduty.com is like, currently our community is experiencing issues across Call of Duty Vanguard, Warzone Pacific, and Modern Warfare. We feel your frustrations and hear you loud and clear. And just kind of say, hey, we're pushing back the launch of season 2 by like 12 days because they're focusing more on the balancing issues and a lot of the other stuff that is just going on with that game right now. And then they promise to communicate better in the future. So yeah, like the game itself, not in like, if anything, God, you know, between the game falling off here and maybe not doing great over the last couple of years, well, whatever, it's the number one fucking selling game. It's all relative, right? When I say it's not doing great, but you know, they are not at the top of their game. They have not been for a while. And then you've got all of the shit that happened under Bobby Kotick's watch. It's hard to imagine a better time to punch out and say, yes, give me the money, like deal or no deal, fucking deal. Let me run off out of here instead of having to solve any of these problems myself.
Mhm.
Let me weasel away off into somewhere else. And speaking of the weasel, he gave some quotes to VentureBeat.
The wheeze.
The wheeze.
Yes, the wheeze.
That
Yes.
slimy
The
fuck.
Pauly Shore of video games, Bobby
Oh,
Kotick.
you
Oh,
insult
nasty.
to
Pauly Shore does not
by the
deserve
way.
that.
Yeah.
No,
Pauly
that's
Shore
mean
does
to
not
Pauly
deserve
Shore.
You leave Pauly Shore alone.
I loved Son-in-Law.
I really
Hell
like,
yes.
I love Biodome.
Underappreciated.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Encino
Alright,
Man
look.
is a masterpiece.
Okay,
Yeah.
look.
The
we're all
character
friends
from a
here.
Goofy movie that's pretty much Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was voiced by him, wasn't it?
Oh, is it?
Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. So
Racing.
Bobby Kotick talked to VentureBeat and said, here are some franchises, among other things. Basically said like, I wanted to make it. Here's the quote. I wanted to make a new Guitar Hero for a while, but I don't want to add teams to do manufacturing and supply chain and QA for manufacturing. And the chip shortages are enormous. We didn't really have the ability to do that. I had a really cool vision for what the next Guitar Hero would be and realized we don't have the resources to do that.
I had an excellent. Yeah, you did. I'm sure you did. It was you, Bobby.
What if you could fuck the guitars?
Oh Jesus.
What? No?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no.
they're not
Who doesn't?
M&Ms, please.
Hey. I just, like, okay, sure. Like, that is a lot to take on, and they did take it on before, and they got out of that business. But to say, we didn't have the resources to do that. It's like, this is, you took all the resources and dumped them into Call of Duty. At one point, you had stuff set up to do that. Like, and Skylanders is the other one. One of the great disappointments of my career.
That's one of the great disappointments.
That's one of, yeah.
That's one of them. Yeah. Mhm.
With
Yeah.
Skylanders. Okay.
What
Priorities.
vacuum
Skylanders.
Was this
Hey.
interview conducted?
I'm
in?
sorry, Spyro.
Drobot
I let you
should've-
down.
Want to formally apologize to Spyro, the
This
dragon.
is like an amazing fucking couple of sentences of shit talk that, like, I think doesn't get to the heart of what the problem really was. But in talking about
A
Skylanders
psycho.
as something that he hopes Microsoft does more of, one of the great disappointments of my career is that other people came in and they came out with crappy alternatives, and they dumped all of these crappy alternatives in the market and basically destroyed the market for what was a really cool future opportunity.
This is everyone's fault but mine.
Damn you, Disney.
Goddamn Disney, these fucking Lego Dimensions. You came in and fucked me. That's a rough one, because I think Disney Infinity had a better
Better
idea.
Yeah.
Better game.
Not always a better game, but by the end of the Skylanders run, yes, a better game. Like the first couple of Skylanders games, Skylanders Giants, like when that idea was new and fresh, like it played well for a kid's game. You could have a good time with it. And by the end of it, they were like, I don't know, cars? What if we did cars? What if you could put Drobot in a car? Like they'd fucked it up. Like they ran out of fucking ideas was the problem. Like you talk about Infinity, you talk about Lego Dimensions, but like years 3 on for Skylanders, they did not honor the original Skylanders the way they were meant to be. They instead said like, oh, the old Skylanders aren't going to have the cool powers. You're going to need to buy a fucking new one. if you want to have the extra ultimate, the extra fucking super. So they businessed their way into fucking not breaking the promise, but fucking up the spirit of the promise of the old Skylanders working across the board. It's like, yeah, you could bring in your fucking max level Drobot, but you're not gonna be able to level it up all the way. We're basically deprecating it in a way that you're gonna have to go buy new Skylanders.
You think it
That's
bugged
on
him?
them. They fucked it up. They fucked that up.
You think it bugged him how much amiibos have kind of taken off as not only like a thing that you can occasionally apply to a game, but like as a collector thing as well?
I bet.
Maybe, but I think you have to look at it and just go like, well, those are just Nintendo figurines. And, you know, look, Drobot, as much as Drobot is an iconic character in the history, in the pantheon of video game characters,
Right.
Drobot is no
Drobot.
Mario. Yeah, Gex, Drobot, Mario. Yeah.
Or Voodoo. Voodoo is
Voodoo.
high in,
Yeah.
High
It's
on
hard
my
to,
list.
it's hard to compete with that. But like, you know, no one's buying amiibos for what they do in the video games because
Sure.
Nintendo doesn't even believe in that shit. But like Disney Infinity, and maybe I'm slightly biased here, but Disney Infinity was a higher quality project in a lot of ways. I think the early Skylanders games were more fun, but there was a lot more ambition with the Infinity stuff in terms of like making your own worlds and sharing them and all this other stuff that you could do in that game. Lego Dimensions, I think, is a shit show. I think it was garbage, but
There was that space battleship one that came out as
what the
well.
fuck
oh
was
yeah,
it?
the Ubisoft thing.
Yeah, that wasn't
Sky. Yeah.
bad either. It was okay.
That was there was nothing.
It was a hassle because you had to bolt all that shit to your
Oh,
controller, and it wasn't
yeah.
that fun. Like it was, like that stuff just became a pain in the ass at some point. So yeah, I don't know. Like it's just like it's insane to me that he came out of the woodwork, like crawled out to do this interview. It was just like other
Jeez.
people fucked up Skylanders. Like.
Yeah,
I
that's what
agree
we
that
wanted
it
to talk
probably
about
sullied
today.
the market for like retail shelf space, and I'm sure there are factors there that did not work in Activision's favor when it comes to that stuff. But to like blame the other games as being crappy when Skylanders got to where it got to, by the end, it was not a very good video game.
What an incredible company leader.
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
responsibilities and
Mhm.
stuff, consequences, and
Yeah.
in Spyro games, important stuff.
Skylanders is bigger than Spyro. Look, Spyro is a key part of Skylanders, but Spyro
yeah.
gets you in the door and makes you think like, oh, I like Spyro. But
I like
once you're in,
Spyro.
take Spyro, throw him in the gutter,
That's it.
put him in the
That's all it's
dump.
good for. Yep.
That's right.
They smashed up his face. Look
Don't
what they
need 'em.
did to my boy. They smashed in his face.
You don't need him.
It gave him a pug face. I hate them for that.
Well, yeah, they did kind of do that. The stock market is going through a bunch of shit right now, so it's hard to necessarily pin all of this on this. But the thing that did happen before the stock market took a weird shit is that Sony's stock price was down, I believe, about 13% in the wake of this news. And it stayed down, but again, like a lot of the market is down right now.
Yeah.
So, but it does indicate there's a certain hand wringing around like what will Sony do in response.
Mhm.
That's sort of like the shorthand takeaway that people have drawn up as a narrative.
Yeah,
The way it's covered in more, sort of generalized media outlets has sort of just been like, does this spell disaster for Nintendo and Sony?
right.
Kind of thing.
Well, you see that, and then you see like people that bit on the metaverse aspect of it, like the media outlets that went like,
Oh,
well,
sure.
listen, because in the initial press release, they
Oh.
and in the call with Satya, the CEO of Microsoft, like there was a lot of metaverse talk in there.
Yeah.
Which
And-
feels like just investor bait.
Yeah.
Like it's not, none of that
And-
felt real.
and news outlet bait too, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly, yeah.
because you saw that word in even like reporting from like the New York Times. I think they kind of maybe corrected some of that, but it was basically just like it was, that stark $68 billion price tag ... somewhere in a play for the metaverse,
Right.
and it's just like, oh.
So that probably got them. I mean, the price would have gotten them there, but I feel like
Sure.
it got them more detailed headlines than they would have gotten otherwise. So
Yeah.
I get why they include that in there, because they have to justify that high price tag in a billion different ways to a billion different people. And it seems to have worked. But yeah, the number of times the metaverse, I feel like that's the thing that when you go, I feel like a lot of these Phil Spencer interviews, you are not seeing the word metaverse in there a lot because they're being done at a gaming level, talking in a lot of cases to publications that are savvy to the video game industry and know that that is bullshit.
Yeah, Phil knows how poisonous that fucking phrase is. Like, come on.
But there's also part of that interview was like, it's sort of laying out what has been Microsoft's plan for a long time, and has been coming together for years now, is that larger thing of like, hey, we're a services company and we intend to do gaming in a very services oriented way. Obviously Game Pass is like people talk about it nonstop. We're always talking about Game Pass. It's changed a lot of the conversations around game value and game prices and all this other stuff. And so there's a quote in here in one of these more mainstream outlet interviews saying like, oh, what Google is to search and what Amazon is to shopping, and like they both have cloud components. Microsoft, we obviously have a cloud component, but also we are gaming focused, and maybe that's the thing we carve out, is that we are the gaming focused company at this scale. And so they are having that conversation of competitors and that landscape around like Facebook and Google and Amazon. Like Sony and Nintendo are not part of that conversation. That's like that's a different, much smaller, different fight that in some ways Microsoft is losing in terms of hardware sales, but that's not the fight they're fighting. And so that stuff is interesting because it plays into a lot of what makes sense for Microsoft in terms of putting games on other platforms, in terms of, we had Jeff Grubb on the show last week and he talked a fair amount about the notion of putting Gamepass on PlayStation, which I think in current times with Sony being current Sony is kind of a non-starter. I think that's something Sony would much rather do itself and try to build itself.
Sure.
Whether they can build it as well, they don't have the pockets that Microsoft does. They just don't. And so it's a fight of a different, like they're on a kind of a different scale when it comes to the full brunt of those companies. And also Sony is very much a company that I think would much rather do it themselves first. And if they try to, which sounds like with the Spartacus stuff, they are looking to do something along those lines. If they try that and it doesn't catch on, then maybe that opens the door for Microsoft to do something like a Game Pass on PlayStation. But it just doesn't.
I see Nintendo happening way, way before it could ever touch a Sony platform.
Yeah, I think Nintendo is not in that market. That's something that but a lot of those games, doing ports of those games down to the Switch hardware is where that gets weird. You can obviously do cloud stuff. That's easy, relatively speaking, but getting stuff to run natively, I don't know. Like a lot of this stuff just gets down to like this thing where, as that cloud stuff gets better and becomes more prominent and they start attracting more mainstream players that don't necessarily notice the latency the same way any of us would, then you just get into that whole thing of like, why is there an Xbox at all? And who is it for when all this stuff just is natively built into a television and blah, 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 blah. One last little tidbit here. Out of the Wall Street Journal report on this is the idea that kind of leading up to the acquisition, as the good name of Activision just kept getting so tarnished in the marketplace that that Kotick suggested potentially purchasing a video game news outlet to try to change the narrative around the company.
That.
Yeah.
Wow.
Potentially, including Kotaku and PC Gamer, according to people familiar with him, is what the Wall Street Journal report said.
Kotaku.
And then Activision disputed that reporting. And then they did not get any comment out of the owners of Kotaku or PC Gamer. I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe that conversation happened. Is it serious?
Right.
Is it something
Exactly.
that, like, yeah.
That's why
billionaires do
Yeah.
this shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like, do we
Buy
buy
out
all
news
the air?
outlets.
Do we just buy the air?
I mean, it even happened like Chance the Rapper didn't like reception to his last album, so he bought like a magazine that got published in Chicago so they wouldn't write anything bad about him anymore.
Mhm.
So this stuff happens in every industry.
Rich
It's wild.
people.
Is that what
It never
happens
works
when
out.
you when you become like this like psychotic billionaire? You all of a sudden you're just like, I'm just gonna like buy the thing that bothers me.
Yeah.
You can just do
Yeah.
that when you're rich as God.
The moon's looking at me weird. What if I just bought it?
Yeah.
Do we know who owns the moon?
I believe
No.
the moon
No,
is co-owned by multiple nations.
It's
Jess, is
Coke.
this an app where like I
And-
buy a piece of artwork and we all own the artwork? So we all own the
I
moon?
think that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
The
I went
moon's
to
an
a website
NFT.
and I
You heard it here
bought a chunk
first.
of the moon. I own a star and a piece of the moon, according to this
Oh.
paperwork I have over here. I also own a square foot of land in Scotland.
Mhm.
You're a lord now.
I'm a lord.
You're a lord.
I'm a
Yeah,
lord.
yeah.
Um,
Lord Gersman.
the notion that they would think to purchase, this thing sounds scandalous when you read it, but I bet it was like a tossed off, like, well, why don't we just buy them
Sure.
and fucking
Yeah,
make them
it
stop
sounds like-
writing this shit.
It sounds like an after dinner drunken
yeah.
conversation for
That
sure.
that never went anywhere.
Mhm.
And if it did, like, imagine a world where, the good folks that run Kotaku, let's start complaining about parent companies while we're at it. The staff of Kotaku would fucking leave, and it would be
Yeah.
a gigantic
Yeah.
scandal.
Everyone
and
would
it
know
would blow
about
up.
it. Yeah.
It would blow up
Absolutely.
10 times as big. That would never go down the way that Mr. fucking Moneyball thinks it might. Yeah, we got a handful of questions in about this stuff. I got them in through my Tumblr, all sorts of places. So there's a few bits and pieces here before we move on. Someone asked, how will this work when there's like a new PlayStation in the works and, and they want to send a dev kit to Activision? Will they? Because it's technically Microsoft, and do they want to send their prototype dev hardware? Do they want to disclose to the company that makes the console that most directly competes with them? And I think, to me, the answer here lies in Phil Spencer's title change. The idea of him going from head of Xbox to CEO of Microsoft Gaming kind of, again, says to me that, like, even at the expense of the overall Xbox brand, they're like, no, that's a services thing and this all filters into it, but we want to be able to put our games where it makes sense. And so you silo that off a little bit and probably don't take all of the Activision stuff in under the Xbox studios, under that sort of stuff. You kind of do continue to run it separately, as they've more or less done with Bethesda.
Sure.
And I figure that also new console disclosure is often done in such a way that, like, only the people who need to know about it in specific terms. Like, hey, here's the specs or whatever. I know there was a developer that got Switch hardware prior to it being announced, and it was, my understanding was that it was basically locked in a fucking room, and like 6 people could get in there, and look at it. And they were not to tell anyone else that it was even in the building. So there are ways to, it would not be to Microsoft's benefit to get sued by Sony for breaking those arrangements. And so I suspect that would work as it always has, without too much skittishness around it.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, that I'm guessing that there probably won't be too many more details on this stuff now. Like, there's been a week of reporting around it, and they've kind of wrung out everything they're going to wring out in terms of what's exclusive where, and they're not going to say that stuff until anything comes closer to close and all that other stuff.
We're still a year out from closing, so
yeah, probably. And there's been a little bit of hand wringing around the idea of this clearing government approval and all that other stuff, or will it get treated as monopoly, or like that sort of stuff. With some analysts going on record as saying like, hey, if they took Call of Duty and made it Xbox only, it would probably not clear the regulatory hurdles it needs to clear to go through. But I don't know that I don't know that I buy that. There are so many other shooters out there. There's so many other consoles and places to buy and play games out there that like it doesn't. Even in a Sony comparison, you could still just point to the number of PlayStation 5s that have been sold compared to the number of Xboxes, and just go like, oh well, clearly Sony's doing fine. This would even the playing field at best, So, but I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that stuff would actually work. All right. So I'm guessing we won't talk much about that until something else crazy happens.
Yeah, there's still a long road
Which it
to
will.
all this becoming official. So
Yeah. EA has confirmed that it is working on not one, but 3 Star Wars video games, all of them coming out of Respawn in one way or another.
Damn.
Busy.
Yeah, that's a lot of Respawn happening.
How-
One of these is the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
One of them is a first-person shooter that is being run out of the former Medal of Honor team, which they made that Medal of Honor VR game. It's not a VR game they're working on, but it is the team that did that VR game.
You play a stormtrooper. You can't shoot anything.
Plays an Ewok.
I hope it's just
Yeah,
I hope it's just Dark Forces.
but like what is an FPS in the Star Wars universe? I mean, they did do something, right? Didn't they do the
Dark
lightsaber?
Forces? Dark Forces is
that a
Dark
lightsaber?
Forces 2, eventually you kind of like, oh, now you're a Jedi. But like that game opened with just like, yo, you just got guns.
You just have like good old fashioned Star Wars revolver.
Yeah, and like stormtrooper rifle that you stole or whatever.
Got it.
Republic
you end
Commando.
up end up first person shootering with the lightsaber, I assume, like melee first person.
They had
They
that
have
in
done
Outcast.
that, but also like Battlefront 2 was not, like you are not playing as a
True.
Jedi in that campaign.
Mhm.
That was not you in the multiplayer you would get these hero characters that did have lightsabers that you would use for periods of time, but there's been point being there have been a lot of Star Wars stories that don't necessarily involve Jedis and they're just like can be shooters. So like and
Evil Wookiees.
That's fine. That's
evil
fine.
Wookiees. There you go.
So are you telling me
On racing.
that on this list there's not a Battlefront 3?
No.
Not on this list.
No, not on this list. This other first-person
kid.
shooter is happening, but a Battlefront 3 is not.
It's weird.
Okay.
And
I thought they did okay.
Yeah, those were
Battlefront 2
popular.
Remember when Battlefront 2
I
launched
remember
and
it
it was
kind of a mess. There was some microtransaction mess. There was some
there was almost government regulation around the time of the release of Battlefront 2.
Right.
Like that's
Just
how
like episode 1.
Yeah.
but I still think that game did okay.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Poetry.
They
Vibes.
I mean it probably did fine.
Yeah.
But also they had to support it for a very long time and scuttle all of their microtransaction plans, and so I'm sure on
Right.
the money end of it probably
Okay.
it became like a thing of like, oh, we're salvaging our reputation here.
Right.
And by
And
the
they're-
end of it, but whatever, by the end of it, people were pissed again because I think they finally did announce like, hey, we're done with Battlefront 2 support.
At least for a generation.
Yeah, like may the force be with you. And then people were like, wait, what? Why are you not doing more? But they'd already done a ton by then. So, DICE kind of has its own mess going on with Battlefield right now. So it would make sense that even in a world where they wanted to do where a Battlefront 3 had been greenlit and all this other stuff, which sounds like it was not the case, even if it was pitched, that they would be better off trying to salvage
Something else.
the Battlefield franchise. The third game that the third Star Wars game is a
Yoda stories.
strategy tactics kind of thing. That is just going to be produced by Respawn, but the development is happening at a studio called Bit Reactor, which is there's some X-Firaxis people there, some of the
so it's
XCOM
XCOM
lineage.
stuff. Yeah.
Just give me a squad of Ewoks, damn it. I need it.
Honestly, just wait, Jan. The way things are going, you're gonna get that.
Right.
Wait, how
Eventually,
long? I meant to ask this earlier. How long has EA held the Star Wars license now? Because
you haven't got an Ewok game.
Well, yeah,
I
it
don't
kind
know.
of feels
Too long, I guess.
wild that this feels like a lot of Star Wars games, yes, but it feels wild that we haven't had like shitty title after shitty title 2-3 times a year involving
Wait,
the
we
Star
haven't?
Wars license.
What?
At least they come out on consoles.
Okay.
Because like phone games, I'm sure they're popping out left and right. There's probably at least 4 different card games that involve Star Wars on phones right now.
Yeah,
An
totally.
Ewok tile matching game. Yeah.
Are there any Star Wars games where you are the band manager of the Jizz band in the cantina?
God damn it.
They're called the Jizz Band.
They play Jizz.
Yeah, they
They
play
play
Jizz.
Jizz.
Play Jizz.
Wait, are you saying Jizz or Jazz?
Jizz.
Jizz.
The music in Star Wars.
The music
It's
in Star
called
Wars is called
Jizz?
Jizz.
Yeah.
Space
Yeah.
Jazz is called Jizz.
Jizz. Yep. They're
I am
plagiarizing.
uncomfortable with
It's
how
canon.
familiar everyone is with this.
Look, man, if there's a cum angle, it's going to go around the internet.
What, you're not a fan of
I'm
Jizz?
surprised
Are
you don't
serious?
know. This is like
I know the
I feel like there could be a
song.
whole episode of the Very Online Show about
Jizz?
Space Jizz.
cum-related
About
things
Steve?
on the internet.
I mean, we've covered a lot. I'm surprised. I didn't know it was called Jizz. I feel like that's a thing that stays with you once you hear it, and you don't
Yes.
really forget it.
Yeah. So now you know.
I
You've
can hear
es-
the-
Now you
I can
know.
hear
escaped
that
it until now.
song.
Now
Yeah.
you know at home, listeners.
Not
That's
very
right.
online, are you?
Space
I'm
Jazz
not. That's the whole
called
point of the show.
Yeah.
Is that I'm only like medium rare online.
Mhm.
See, you're just missing out on all this good shit.
Yeah. All this jizz.
Okay. All right. Got
Yeah,
I got a
my-
Wikipedia to look at, I guess.
My pitch still stands. I
please,
think there should be
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Yes, please. Proper. I
Where's
still
my
think there should
Jizz
be.
rhythm game?
Yeah, where's the
Yeah.
Jizz rhythm game? I
Yeah,
want
John
a...
Drake.
Yeah. Get your shit together and get the Jizz rhythm game cooking.
Yeah,
Come
we need
on.
that. We need like a band manager type sim.
I'll
for
sign that.
Jizz.
Where's
petition.
my Power Wash Simulator Tatooine edition, huh?
Ooh.
Get all the sand off my
okay.
pod racer.
Okay,
Mm.
okay, yeah.
Just giving
That would be
So the-
good.
we're just
So
giving
wait,
ideas
the
away for
Wookiee
free.
could-
You're telling me the 4 of you are gonna sit there and you're gonna say to me that in episode 6, Return of the Jedi, at some point in that film, which is the first
Mm.
appearance of Jizz, or is it just like a known thing?
Return of the Jedi. No, like
There's a lot of
That's what it
supplemental
says.
material.
the
I don't think it's. I
cantina
don't think
was-
it's said in the film.
Yeah.
if that's
Right.
what you're
Cantina
asking.
was earlier than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
wasn't
Han
it?
Solo wasn't like, check this Jizz band really.
Once again,
Look at
check
this
your,
jizz.
check your Wikipedia. and
Wikipedia
You'll,
it.
you'll find
Okay.
everything
Alright.
you need.
Okay, okay. Keep
Check the
looking.
sources. It's there.
Yeah.
Do your own research on Jizz. Okay, I'm not
Mhm.
here to hold your hand about the whole Jizz situation, but it's real and it's
Can't-
canon.
Look,
Name the
internet, he's
podcast
got
this.
Jizz
Heather
info.
Entos. Where's Heather Entos?
Share it
Jizz,
with
in,
me.
jizzinfo.biz. Yes.
And I think that stuff is all still canon. It's not like Luke with 2 U's or whatever the fuck, or Luke with an exclamation point, or
Big Luke. Big Luke.
hot Luke, big Luke,
Hot
cum Luke, like all this.
Jizz.
I don't think that's Jizz Luke is not canon. That's extended universe stuff. They
okay.
disowned.
They wiped that out.
Had my
Yeah.
that's enough internet for today.
Ripped it out.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, industry insider Jeff Grubb reports that these will be EA's final Star Wars games. They have had this exclusive license for a long time. It's due to expire next year, I believe.
Oh.
And that's why Ubisoft got out and announced a Star Wars game already, for that will ship after that time is up, I guess. And that that these will be the last 3 Star Wars games out of EA, and it's kind of further talk that EA is looking to just focus on its own IP because they own a lot of stuff that they don't have to go give some percentage to Lucas or Disney or whatever. That they can just keep all the money. When they make a Dead Space, they get to keep all the money. So So they're kind of maybe moving in that direction. And then also, even though there is a first-person shooter on this list, that is not the first-person shooter that is still prototyping, that mobility-focused first-person shooter we talked about last week. That is not on this list. That's still a separate thing that some Skunkworks team is off doing, from the sounds of things.
So there's actually like 8 Star Wars games in development. I get it. Okay.
Well, that won't be a Star Wars game by the time it comes out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose.
You know, maybe it'll be I don't know what it'll be. Yeah. So, and then Ubisoft will make that Star Wars. Like, I believe that's Ubisoft Massive, the Division studio. I think they're working on that Star Wars game. And then Star Wars games will come from anywhere and everywhere. You won't know when they're coming because you won't know who they're coming from.
Oh boy.
I know. Very dangerous. So that Power Washer game, that's, hey.
You're welcome on internet. Get on it.
They should do that.
Yeah.
They should do that.
Oh no.
Watch Dogs Legion has gotten its final update.
They were still updating that?
About the same thing.
This is a Ubisoft game.
Oh shit, sorry.
Like those games, like someone is still working on updates for The Crew 2.
Right.
Like that's why this is newsworthy. Like, hey, it would be totally normal for Watch Dogs Legion support to be at an end in any other studio world or anything like that. But like, this jumps out specifically because they put out an update on their website, where they kind of run through like, oh, we put out all this stuff this summer. Also saw the return of an older Aiden Pierce and Wrench in the story expansion, Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline.
Dirty
Yeah,
your
the
hat.
hat.
The dirtier hat.
Yeah,
Like,
Aiden Pierce's
still
iconic hat. So there's some more iconic items to be had still. They go on to say title update 5.6 was our final update for Watch Dogs Legion. However, you can look forward to reward tracks in the online mode. And basically, they're on season 4. They still have season 5. But after that, seasons 3 through 5 are just going to rotate forever.
Oh, okay.
So you can earn rewards such as a modified version of Aiden Pierce's jacket.
Oh.
Not as iconic.
Not as iconic.
The jacket?
Okay.
No.
Now
Yeah.
you're talking.
It's hard not to read this and immediately think, well, I guess Watch Dogs Legion was an abysmal failure because Ubisoft doesn't walk away from fucking anything.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. That's the only way I can read this. That's probably not the case, right? I'm sure it did okay. That game was okay. I don't think it was particularly great. Not my favorite Watch Dogs game, and I would love to see another Watch Dogs game that was done a little better. This had some ideas, but anyone else play Watch Dogs Legion?
Nope.
Very shortly.
Nice. Okay.
Anyone in the
Yeah.
chat play Watch Dogs Legion? Anybody?
No.
Anyone.
I
We'll
got,
take
I got a
anyone.
copy of it for buying a Blue Yeti microphone, and that's,
there you
go.
that's about as close as I got.
There's some neat stuff in there, like when you
Sure.
see all their weird clockwork systems and generated people and stuff. Like it's neat to see that aspect of it, but
Sure.
actually playing it was just kind of a letdown, I guess. So I guess, yeah, I don't know. It's just, but I just look at that as again, it's hard not to read this as some sort of statement as like, hey, we were hoping this would do better, because otherwise
Well,
there
of
would have
course,
been
yeah.
more seasons of online or more DLC or whatever. I mean, they're extending Assassin's Creed support into multiple years now, like
It's still going.
and the Crew
That's
2 is that the game that keeps coming up in terms of like they're still doing stuff for that.
That's impressive. That's yeah. I mean, we've always lauded for Ubisoft for like continuing support way more than other companies do, and then that's cool. Maybe it would be better with better games, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's going to be hard to just like pump updates into a game and turn it into a sales success if it didn't.
Exactly.
That's why there's around Battlefield and some of the DICE stuff. There's been some speculation that maybe EA will take some portion of maybe like the Portal mode in there or something like that and break it off as a free to play thing, just as an attempt to revitalize that game, because it's falling out of top 50s. It's there's just a lot of they're out here announcing first person shooters in the Star Wars universe that are not Battlefront. Like EA is clearly moving on from some of that stuff, and DICE has what seems like a mess to clean up with the current Battlefield. So it's
God, they're still supporting For Honor also. For Honor's community is
Wow.
still
I
popping.
just looked that up.
Yeah.
And
I would have lost
made
that
sure-
bet.
Yeah, and like in other games, they have cut and run from like in a like when they did walk away from like Hyperscape.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
Hyperscape, the battle royale
Nope.
game they did?
Nope.
It had the
Oh,
cube
Not at
thing.
all.
Oh,
Right.
shit, that's
Yeah,
the thing that Eric Pope was on. Shit.
yeah, he was doing community stuff for that for a
Yeah.
while. Yes, that game vanished. Like I joined a Discord for Hyperscape. I joined the official Hyperscape Discord like within the last 6 months just to see what was going on, and it was mostly empty. And then people going like, "Hey, has anyone heard anything about any
Playing
updates?"
this? Shit.
Wait, they have
I was
a
like,
For Honor update in like 2 days where they're adding
Yeah.
a pirate hero. That's
Yeah.
wild.
I mean,
It's
For Honor's
like
done
reused-
well. For Honor has a dedicated community that
Yeah.
it makes sense to keep supporting it, right? And
Cool.
Hyperscape did not
Animations,
attract
but
enough people
whatever.
to do it. And anyway, I assume that means Watch Dogs Legion did not attract enough of an audience to warrant continued support.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Man, I wanted to like For Honor so much more. God
Yep.
damn it.
yeah. What a
God
cool
damn it.
idea that I just did not want to play. But it's cool that people are into it, and the people that are into
Totally.
it got way into it.
Yeah.
People got also into hacking from software games
That's me,
Oh.
baby.
and stealing your credit card information.
That's me,
And
baby.
Ooh.
My credit card information is in
Dead set, baby.
Bloodborne? What?
So a remote code execution flaw has been found in a handful of From Software games, the Souls games. This includes Dark Souls 3, 2, Remastered, and Prepare to Die Edition.
Ooh.
So pretty much the full gamut of those games on PC that have online server support. Hackers found this flaw and attempted to disclose it to From and did not get a response. And so at some point they
Oh,
just
they
performed
released
it
it.
on a live stream.
Jesus.
And basically made someone pop up a PowerShell window and activate text to speech and start reading some stuff out, kind of showing, not actually causing any harm to the computer,
Sure.
but and I don't know, maybe the streamer was in on that. I don't know for sure if this was completely inflicted upon a person or if it was all kind of just like scheduled. This finally got From Software to react, and as a result, they have taken down the PC servers for those games, Dark Souls 3, 2, Remastered, and Prepare to Die Edition,
Dang.
presumably so that they can fix that issue. Also, as people data mined the Elden Ring network test, they discovered that it used a lot of the same code and would likely be
Oh, shit.
susceptible to the same problem.
Oh.
So
The game that just went gold and is
Yeah.
being pressed. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So remote code execution's a bad one because that's like install a keylogger, download
Yeah.
your password, like install stuff that's going to mine crypto on your computer and fucking send it off somewhere else. Like watch your screen, steal your stuff, rat your cameras. And, like there's just a lot of really nasty shit you can do with that kind of flaw. There hadn't really been a lot of examples. I don't think there have been any
Damn.
examples of it being in the wild in a nefarious way, but it was
Possibilities
getting
exist,
around in a
yeah.
way that like it had to be dealt with. So they are finally dealing with it. This should probably, you would presume that by the time Elden Ring does finally come out, this would not be an issue in that video game and that they would have fixed it in these other ones as well. But
It's really
We'll see.
crazy that they didn't they were trying to tell FromSoft about it and didn't get any response. Like I'm really curious, how exactly
Well, I mean,
how
those
exactly that went
things-
down, who they were trying to
Yeah.
contact, because
Yeah.
it's like this is like really serious. It would be shocking if I don't know, they did know about it or were made
Yeah.
aware of it, and we're just like,
Well, they
let's
just
just
probably
hope
didn't
no one
do their
notices.
due diligence. Like
We're
these
busy.
these types of sometimes they're scams. Where
Mm,
somebody is saying there's a security breach in your software. This is it exactly.
that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So
Good
point.
they just probably didn't pay enough attention to it.
And
Point.
so this is stuff like, this stuff's been kicking around for kind of a while. They've been trying to report it for a while. I don't know if how out in the wild it got, but
Right.
there's a fan made anti-cheat mod called Blue Sentinel that
That
already kind of
takes care,
fixed
yeah.
this issue.
Oh.
Whether that was something that they like sought out to fix directly, or if it was just something that kind of got fixed as a result of them doing their other anti-cheat stuff. I don't know, but
What's up,
that shows
modders?
it's at least
Yeah.
possible to fix it.
That's cool.
And In our last story, we're kind of weaving our way towards the release of the Steam Deck. They said just recently, like, hey, we're still on track for putting that thing out. And they've been putting out a few updates, mostly aimed at devs. There was one last week around using anti-cheat software under Proton, which is the emulation style layer they're using to run Windows applications on a Linux system. A lot of those drivers don't detect that they're being run in kind of a not native Windows environment and go like, hey, you're cheating. So you have to build for that. So there was some stuff last week about, hey, we've found ways to support this anti-cheat stuff in this way, and your games should do it. This week's update is around something they're calling dynamic cloud sync. This is something they talked about wanting to do. I think when you went up to Valve, it was kind of like we intend to do this, but they seemed a little non-committal at the time. And this is the notion of like putting down your Steam Deck and picking up your PC and having your progress kind of seamlessly move from one way to the other. And so the use case they have here is like with dynamic cloud sync, this is from their blog post, Steam will automatically upload all modified save game data to the cloud prior to the device entering sleep mode. Users can then resume their game on any PC, laptop, or other device. Steam will also automatically download any save game changes when users return to their Steam Deck and wake up the device. So,
okay.
The use case they're planning for here is the notion that like people will just put their Steam Deck to sleep and not necessarily quit out of the game. Normally, Steam Cloud stuff doesn't sync until you quit the game. So they're kind of building something in there that it might not be like, hey, put it down, pick it up. You're like standing where you were standing. It is still kind of like save data moving and not a save state moving.
There still seems to be some sort of interaction required before it'll actually upload.
Well, it seems like it'll like if the devs have integrated dynamic cloud sync into their game, then it will just happen as the device is going to sleep.
Okay.
Is my read on it.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
yeah, this is work that devs will have to do to enable it. But the thing here is they say like, it's not hard, and you're not required to do it, but you do need to enable it in your games and take advantage of some new APIs to make it work. So work for developers that want to integrate it, but it seems like that they are knocking out some features for that stuff. They're starting to build compatibility lists, and some of that stuff is showing up on Steam in various places in terms of like which games they've tested and what the requirements are to get tested and all that stuff.
Persona 4 Golden does not work on the Steam Deck,
right?
For whatever reason, it's crazy. Like, everything else that they've announced that's been incompatible has been like VR games, but for whatever reason, Persona 4 Golden,
they're really big fans of the Vita.
Yeah,
big fans of the Vita.
They're like, no, only one handheld allowed.
Nuts.
And it's the Vita.
That's why they haven't put them on the Switch,
Dude, I just bought a Vita, a Japanese one. Modded it. Oh, fucking A. Oh, fucking A. Everything's available to me now. I feel dirty.
Jason's got Game Pass on that Vita.
It's definitely a Game Pass on that Vita.
You could put Moonlight on... You could run Moonlight on a Vita and then play Steam games on it. Like, it could be your own little streaming Steam Deck if you wanted it to. You do that with Switch as well. Works pretty well. That's going to do it for news. How about we take one more break? We'll come back. We'll get through a couple of emails here before the end of the show. Sound good?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's do it. This winter, upgrade your daily routine with Bespoke Post and their new seasonal lineup of must-have Box of Awesome collections. That's not proper English. What are you gonna do? Bespoke Post partners with small businesses and emerging brands to bring you the most unique goods every month. No matter what you're into, Box of Awesome has you covered. From winter cocktails to cozy threads and camping gear essentials, Box of Awesome has collections for every part of your life. What are these boxes? Well, you got the Weekender, which features some metal hardware, reinforced frame, quality leather straps on a Weekender, You got Terra. It's a knife made by Bare Bones based in Salt Lake City. You want a knife? You just want to get a box in the mail and you open it and there's a freaking knife in there? Terra might be the box for you. What about a diving knife? The River Box might be for you. Or hey, how about hot sauce? Scorch is a box of hot sauces from small brands all over the country, with some from Texas, Nevada, California, and more. A lot of different box options here. Knives, not knives, barbecue rubs, hot sauces, all this other stuff. To get started, take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right box for you. And they release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up. You can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box costs only $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. Plus, with each box of awesome, you're supporting small business. 90% of everything that comes in your box is from a small up-and-coming brand. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code BOMB at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code BOMB for 20% off your first box. Cometeer is the first coffee you melt to make. That's delicious, quality coffee that's ready in seconds. Cometeer's freshly brewed coffee arrives flash frozen inside the world's first 100% curbside recyclable capsule. It's super simple to melt your way to hot or iced coffees, lattes, and so much more. You don't need machines or any expensive equipment. It's simply incredible, fuss-free, mess-free coffee. So let's talk about it. Cometeer's brewing process captures over 2,000 flavor compounds that exist in a single coffee bean. It's a lot. That sounds like a lot of flavor compounds to me. Cometeer offers a wide variety of light, medium, and dark single origin and blended coffee roasts from the best specialty roasters. And they freeze it all. The brewed coffee is immediately flash frozen at minus 321 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. And they put it all inside a recyclable capsule to lock in freshness and flavor. Cometeer has discovered the best way to brew, preserve, and deliver delicious coffee to your home. And all you need to do is add water to enjoy it, hot or cold. With Cometeer, you can have a high-quality, balanced cup of coffee in the time it takes to boil water or fill a glass with ice, all for a fraction of the price of cafe coffee. Cometeer is delicious black, or however you normally enjoy your coffee. And unlike other pods, Cometeer capsules are 100% curbside recyclable. So, you know, it's easy. You plop it. It'll last for 24 hours. So if you're like, hey, I'm leaving the house and I'm gonna want to have a coffee later, you take that capsule with you. It's gonna be ready when you are. You just pour it into 6 ounces of water, hot, cold, whatever. Pour it into some milk. You want to do a latte thing, you can do it. They've partnered with all these different roasters to bring these roasts to your home. That's right. Cometeer brings you the best coffee on the planet. It's incredible. And you can experience for yourself and try the coffee you melt to make, brewed exclusively in partnership with award-winning roasters. And there's a special deal here just for you. You can save $20 off your first order when you sign up at cometeer.com/bomb. That's COMETEER.com/bomb. And we thank Cometeer for sponsoring the podcast. And we're back with some time for some emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address for you to send your emails to. We've got a couple of them here. Some of them, we kind of addressed around we obviously the Activision stuff. A lot of the questions were around that and some of the fallout from that around like, hey, what if they didn't do an annual Call of Duty and all this other stuff, and I get the impression that should be just probably on the table, that they probably would at least consider, hey, what if we just pull one out every 2 years or something? I mean, it's not like Halo comes out every year. The only annual thing Microsoft does is Forza, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they missed. They skipped around with that a little bit this time to give Turn 10 more time to put together that reboot thing that presumably will be out this year, but we'll see. There's also kind of another undercurrent of question, and you see a lot of this around Twitter and a lot of speculative articles and stuff like this around this. Kush wrote in and said, what if someone bought Sony? In the aftermath of Microsoft buying Activision, got me thinking about the long shot pie in the sky acquisitions. What if Netflix bought PlayStation and Sony Pictures?
That's pie in the sky? That's good to this person?
Well, no,
No,
it's
well,
not,
Pie
I
in the
mean,
Sky is
Pie in the
like
Sky for
reach.
them, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like what's
Like
the
I feel like
crazy-
pie in the sky kind of like means like something you really want. Like it's
something
crazy,
that
but you want it.
Netflix would really want, I'm sure. But
No, but
Yeah.
I mean like the Netflix would
I'm
want
with
it,
you.
but
with you.
I guess I never really thought of Pie in the Sky as being something that you specifically want.
I mean, their
Maybe I
market
don't know what
cap
that
is
means.
$142 billion.
Sony's.
That's Sony Corporation. So
Yeah.
I guess that's everything. But I'm
Right.
not sure you could just buy all. Like, well, maybe you could, but
Yeah, I don't
but like,
know.
but like, who could and pay the premium of that? Like, even forget like, hey, would it make corporate sense? Like the number of companies that could actually come in and purchase that whole thing, which is what it would take. I don't think
Yeah.
Sony would spin off the
Hmm.
movie and game arm of
Yeah.
the company.
you got to buy Spider-Man too, motherfucker.
Exactly. At that
Yeah.
point, I think we're looking at like what? Apple, Facebook, Amazon.
Very short list. Yeah.
Yeah, the other companies that we talked about in the like, hey, what's the tier of company that Microsoft is trying to compete with these days? It's like those, what is Amazon's market cap? Probably bigger than Sony's.
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, it would be companies like that, and that was kind of the.
It's $1.5 trillion.
So there you go. Like that's the a Sony purchase ain't nothing, but like if they were suddenly serious about getting into the video game business and blah blah blah, I don't think Sony would be necessarily interested in selling the whole thing, but so there's a lot of logistical fucking. Remember, like the circumstances of the Activision buyout became favorable at a point because of all the shit that has been happening at Activision.
Exactly.
Without that going on, this deal probably doesn't happen.
It was the perfect shitstorm.
Yeah. So, if Sony gets in a funk where like, oh, suddenly the movie business is, well, I don't know how their movie business is doing, but like, hey, if the PlayStation business is affected materially by the way the market's changed, maybe they get to a point where they're like, hey, we're slipping and now we're susceptible to being bought. Sure. You maybe, the governmental regulations about dealing with a Japanese corporation like that. On top of that, just like it's a mess. But if we set all that aside for a moment, it would be one of those other gigantic companies, or like Tencent or something.
I was going to ask, is Tencent big enough to do that?
Oh yeah, yes. But I think the sort of like conversation here is like you said, the perfect aligning of stars and planets where like Activision found itself in a very interesting situation from a sort of like where its financial fortunes were trending and Microsoft swooping in and that kind of thing. So it's less, again, it is, in my opinion, very much preemptive, right? And very much sort of like forward thinking as like a move to do so that you don't have to worry about something down the road.
And also I think there was a bit of a notion going around. I didn't dig into this too deeply, but there was an implication that Facebook was potentially interested in buying Activision. And so, but yeah, right. The slime and the ooze commingle and just whatever comes out. Like
Skylanders.
It ain't gonna get any better. Let me tell you.
Instead
in a
of
world where
you
Facebook
gotta,
buys Activision, Bobby Kotick does stay on.
Like I think the
instead
better
of like instead of chocolate in my peanut butter, it's like you got puke in my poop.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it sucks.
Well, that
Like-
also goes together.
I've seen that video.
I challenge you to do the more like like the positive thought experiment of like, hey, why don't you fantasize about an acquisition that feels good? Like, where does that even exist? Right? Is there and I'm sure there are. But
You know what? I think
You
the
know.
best acquisition, public domain. Put all of it in the public domain. Fuck
That's
it
right.
up.
Winnie the
Well,
Pooh
we-
is the newest Call of Duty operator.
Hell yeah.
We
Can you
own
imagine Paddington and Winnie the Pooh? Oh man, that movie. There'd
I
still be
tried
no
to watch
pants.
Paddington. I tried to watch Paddington 1 this
pants.
weekend, and it was virtually impossible.
What? Jeff the
Paddington 2,
Marmalade.
readily available. Paddington 1, a mystery, nowhere to be found
It's on
any
Netflix.
streaming network.
It's on Netflix.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't believe it to be. Then there's a huge blind spot in our Apple
But still,
TV
like
search
Paddington
functionality.
2 is the one, right?
Yeah, Paddington
Like,
2 is
that's
the
one to watch.
But Paddington 1's not bad, as I understand it. It's not like it's, but anyway.
If you gotta watch one.
I think that this was something that, like, I think kind of came up around the Bethesda acquisition, was that feeling of like, okay, if we end up in this like content arms race, and this was at a time when Google seemed to be caring about Stadia, at least pretending to care about Stadia. It was that thing of like, okay, well, Google could open the wallet and start buying other large publishers. Like, you know, is Google going to buy Take-Two, and will Grand Theft Auto become a Stadia exclusive? You know, like crazy shit like that. You know, nightmare scenarios of like how these acquisitions could go. And so, like, when you start thinking about those sorts of possibilities, the idea of a Microsoft acquiring Activision sounds just a lot more palatable, because you're like, okay, a company that seems to understand video games is acquiring a video game company. I think they'll continue making video games. Whereas Google would be like, hey, we bought this thing and I don't know.
What do we do with it?
We're gonna shut it all down. Just, yeah, like, you know, Google buys Konami and continues to do nothing with the IP, or, you know,
Yeah,
like just
right,
a lot
exactly.
of, you know, just fucking weird situations like that. But yeah, I don't know, the fantasizing about acquisitions. Well, it sounds like, yeah, and I guess just today it sounds like ARM might go public or be back on the market or whatever, because Nvidia was attempting to buy ARM, and it sounds like that is not going to clear regulatory hurdles, and so Nvidia will have to cough up something like $1.5 billion or something in a breakup fee.
Yo.
Damn, sign that prenup, yo.
So yeah, there's that stuff swirling around too, but yeah, I don't know. It's tempting to sit here and go like, who buys what? But I think the circumstances around that stuff are always way more complicated than I wanted this, so I bought it, because that's not responsible. Like, if you're trying to buy something that doesn't want to be bought, you have to pay way too much for it. And if you're a publicly traded company trying to do that, at some point the investors go like, what the fuck are you doing? Just because you wanted to own Grand Theft Auto, you spend it. Come on.
Like, if I wanted to buy another Mister, my wife would be like, what the fuck are you doing? You already have a Mister.
Yeah.
You wanted to make a new Gex game, so you bought Crystal Dynamics?
There you go.
Square Enix?
But you had to buy Square to get it. And you're like, I don't care about Final Fantasy. We're just trying to make a new Gex here.
We're going Gex. Yeah.
Yeah. We've also purchased the IP rights to Dana Gould's voice.
Should I buy another?
You can't turn us down forever.
Don't, Jason. Don't do it.
But I want the double RAM.
You could just buy so I bought another Mister because I had an out-of-date USB board, and I thought like, well, I can take this Mister and put it in an arcade cabinet because I have some of those.
Sure.
That's why I justified buying a second Mister.
But I really want to play PlayStation games.
You could, well, so the single SD RAM beta is there now. So
yeah, but
it will run that stuff, and it should run it fine. In fact, like, you can download it today and probably get sound in a lot of games.
All right, thank you. You saved me $560.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Wow,
So
exactly on the dot.
Yeah.
Your take. Not that I was looking it up last night.
Yeah. But alternately, you would be better off just buying the digital I/O board, replacing your analog I/O board, unless you use that, and then getting the second RAM, which is way cheaper than buying a second Mister. So,
Jeff, can I somehow rig a Mister to take film photos for me?
Probably. I mean, it's a FPGA. You can rig it to do anything.
You can do
Where are you getting all this film developed?
I do it at home.
What? You do?
You develop your own film?
Yeah,
you got darkroom
Is
there?
that what's on the other side of the
That's why you're
I have stabilizer. This is like formaldehyde.
Dude, your studio is in your kitchen. How do you have a dark room? I don't understand.
Well, you don't need dark right now. Yeah. You got that candle behind you. Like, it's
like, look, we got the developer chemicals. We got the Blix right here. This is
all within an arm's reach.
This is gonna blow up a government building? What are you
Not today. This is like that Cinestill shit, man. Like, I got boxes of this crap. You can't find this in stores anymore. I'm hoarding this shit.
You were this into it.
What are the 3 developing
Look, I got a funnel.
Called? Oh, okay. Nice big one too. What?
Some beers in that.
Look, I got the Patterson tank. You know, you get
What? Dan, I had no idea you were such a
Patterson
hobbyist.
tank. Holy shit.
What the
God.
fuck?
Serious.
I smell
He
the
is serious.
smell the Blix
Dude,
on
I
me.
love
Ah.
I love how you have gone so deep into this, similar to the way that I've crossed through the threshold in
Already
terms
been
of
too deep
keyboards and
into
whatnot.
keyboards, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Ooh,
great.
Update, I did find that battery for this camera. I don't remember
Oh,
where I
nice.
mentioned it.
Hey.
Who the fuck knows what a 245 battery is?
Mm.
I've never heard of
Yeah,
that
you got
shit.
it.
You've heard of that.
Are
don't
you?
know.
Oh
Huh.
man, are you like hanging wet photos?
I
from
have a
clothesline?
C-stand right above me right now to hang them.
Oh my god, we
Nice.
gotta take
Here's
pictures.
some negatives right now.
Nice,
What?
nice.
Kodak, please send me several rolls of Portra for 100
Yes.
because
My
it's too
man.
expensive.
Jan Ochoa,
Wow.
confusing time travelers
You need to
wherever
be a
they
film
are.
influencer, and they'll just send you that shit.
They
Mm,
won't though. They won't.
Yeah.
Why not?
Get me on the set of Euphoria 2 because they shot that all on film. Or season
they?
2. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Did they really?
Yeah. Apparently they did that for Succession also, but I don't watch Succession.
I know they shot
Euphoria,
Licorice Pizza on film as well, and I'm just sort of like,
that sounds
okay, I
good.
get it, but also why?
Yeah.
How are you
Shoot it
fitting
in
all this
120
stuff?
frames per second.
That would be so much film. Oh,
Like,
God.
So
honestly,
much film.
and I'm not saying because I think film as an aesthetic is bad. I think it's great, it's fine. But like
Mhm.
when you shoot on film, you introduce so many variables. Like, I don't know, someone fucking up the can and like light getting in there and like
Yeah.
blowing a whole roll on something. Like, no way,
It's
no
volatile,
thank
yeah.
you.
I'm always trying to
You
fuck
gotta
up the
be on
can.
point. Yep.
Rob writes in
Hey, Rob.
from Kalamazoo, and he says, "Here's a question for the certified fooding professionals in your organization.
Oh no.
That's
Oh.
all of us.
Yeah.
Salsa is good. I,
Yeah, it is.
like many people, enjoy eating salsa by scooping it with tortilla chips.
Yes, sir.
Doritos are good.
Yes, they are.
Doritos are tortilla chips.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why am I appalled by the idea of eating salsa using Doritos instead of traditional tortilla chips? Thank you for
Why
your
would-
help."
No,
Too much flavor, buddy.
Do not
It's
be
obvious.
appalled. No, it's a good blend. It's a good mix.
Too much
Why?
flavor.
It's like using
so
chocolate
good.
milk for cereal. It's crazy.
Okay, that's
You're
a good analogy.
overdoing it. You're overdoing it in a way that
Oh.
it does not fucking make sense.
You're compromising the taste of both elements by smashing them together where they ought not to be smashed, I think.
Bullshit. You're enhancing both.
Let me
Like
introduce
a
to you
Cool
the
Ranch
concept.
Dorito. That's crazy.
They have salsa Doritos, and they also have salsa that is Doritos flavored.
Wait. The second one is not staying with me. It's not sitting with me well. They
It's
have
like
salsa flavored.
Sure it's not
Doritos.
queso?
No. The flavored salsa, like as if the tomato and that combination somehow tastes like a Dorito,
They
which is
poured
psychotic to
Doritos
me.
dust onto salsa. Is that
Oh,
what I'm being led to believe here? Now, what if you take that and pour it into a Doritos Tacos Locos taco?
Oh shit.
Sure.
oh my god, no! I cannot
They
align
went through,
myself
like
with the
32
food
different
crimes.
iterations of that before they finally landed on the Doritos Locos consistency. It,
Yeah.
it took them like 40 tries at least.
At least.
I'm gonna say that the take of salsa on Doritos is fine is way
It is
crazier than the notion
fucking
of
good.
high frame rate interpolation on television.
It's a 1-to-1 comparison. I mean,
Oh,
like,
God damn
come
it.
on. It's crazy to me that like when I have a Dorito by accident, right? It's never on purpose.
Oh, come on.
I fell on this Dorito. It landed
like
in my
it-
mouth.
Like, you know, I went on like a mini ski trip and someone brought a bag of Doritos and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like do this. I'm drunk, whatever.
Let's go.
When you eat a Dorito for the first time in a while, it's like if you sip soda for a while and if for the first time in a while when you haven't had it and you're just like, wow, that's a lot going on in one little
It is
spot.
not that intense. It is not that
if
intense.
if you're not regularly like, you know, going to town on
Yeah.
Doritos,
Like there's
First-
an amount of flavor blasting one can do to one's own
It's
body
just-
and tongue.
it
Those
is
are
a shock
that-
to the
blasted
system.
goldfish. Thank you very much.
That
Those are not-
numbs
I
you
do
to
love
future
goldfish.
experiences. Like, you know,
Mhm.
everyone's got that friend that had too much sriracha and now they can't taste anything, right?
Yeah,
It's like
they done
that.
burned the
I think that's
the
just
buds.
COVID. I think that's where it really came from.
No,
Okay.
Doritos goes hand in hand with salsa.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fuck.
You do you, but
Mm.
that would make my insides become my outsides.
To me, like,
somehow with
a
flavor.
a restaurant tortilla chip, like real thin and salted tortilla, like, oh yeah, baby, give me that.
Yeah.
All like they have. Do you guys have Sochil? Those chips? Do you know what that come in like a paper bag?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh.
I like
love
just
those.
the more uncaring the tortilla chip, the more I like it. Just the insanely thick, not giving a fuck paper bag, like fucking. You walk into the Safeway or the Vons or whatever, and they're just like, "Yeah, we got these in a plastic bag. It just says tortilla chips on it. It's our store brand." I'm like, "Yes, no, that's what I'm after."
They're like 4 inches thick, each one of them.
It's just tearing your mouth into fucking. Because if you want a thick salsa, you need a thick chip. Like Doritos,
True.
I feel like can't always support. Depending on your salsa, a Dorito is maybe too weak to support some heavier salsas.
That's absolutely untrue. No, it's a good,
Okay.
it's a good fucking thickness. You get the restaurant style chips that are too thin, and you're breaking the chips constantly. And
Yeah. You almost
Doritos
you need
You
to
gotta get a
introduce
runny
spoon.
salsa for
Yeah.
those restaurant those thin ones.
And I mean,
Usually the
Doritos is a
restaurant
good
salsa is
thickness.
runny.
Yeah.
And I mean, Doritos are in the shape of a triangle, the most stable shape in all of geometry. So
That's
Right.
true.
Right.
Yeah, that does help. Which is why those
That makes
taco
sense.
shells break so much. It's like they're out of their element.
it's like, what is this shape?
It's all fucked up. It's all fucked up.
we got to move on. I'm getting
Load-bearing
angry
triangles.
here.
Yeah, I'm getting
All right.
hungry too. Yeah.
All right. Well, with
gotta
that,
eat mine
that's
Doritos.
gonna do it. I eat Doritos once every 6 to 9 months. I find myself going like, yeah, I'm getting a fucking bag of Doritos.
Get yourself some fucking Cool Ranch and just
I'm
enjoy
like-
them, man. Come on.
I'm like
Never,
6
never.
to 8 years. I'll
Ranch
have a
is-
Dorito.
Ranch is
That's-
foul. It's bad for you.
Ugh.
Nacho, just a
Ranch
regular
is
red
nice.
bag
Get
Doritos.
some
Yo,
salsa.
get some
Get some salsa.
Takis. That shit's tight.
What's that?
Okay.
What you got
Takis,
there,
dog.
Jam?
Takis.
Get some fucking hot Cheetos and Takis, man.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay.
It's like
like
rolled up
that.
Doritos, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Learning a lot.
Snort
Smoke them.
I use those to develop
queso
film, too. Yeah.
with those fucking Takis.
Queso.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm hungry too. We're gonna go.
Mm.
I'm gonna go. I think we've got. I don't. We don't have Doritos. All right. A little preview
Yeah.
for next time we get together. I don't know when, because we're doing Game of the Year starting
of the Year.
tomorrow, 10 a.m.
Oh,
Get
God.
together. We got some categories where our personal lists are going to be running tomorrow, and we got guest lists
I should
for
finish
Thursday and Friday, and all this sort of stuff. And this is on hold a little bit, maybe until the next UPF or something like this. But just as a little teaser.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, shit!
He's showing
It's
us
time.
a snacktive. Did you get one for all of us, or is this just a very selfish endeavor? What's it?
It's a very
Yeah,
selfish
where's mine?
endeavor.
Okay.
Dick.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I did not expense it. Should I expense this? I mean, I bought it for
expense
work.
it and
So
get
Yes.
Yeah, you bought it for work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
all right, I'll figure out how to file an expense report, and then
and then
hopefully
get
we'll-
us.
Get your $3 back.
Yeah.
Apparently,
we'll,
there was a deal on them. You could buy like 5 for the price of 4 because of all the momentum from Shark
Oh,
Tank.
See, I got my
No, from
my
us.
order in before the Shark Tank episode aired, so I'm an OG fan of Snacktive. I'm not one of
Ground
these
floor.
chippy come latelys out here trying to pick up chips. Like I fuck that shit. Those guys are cowards. Anyway,
You know,
Right.
Game of the Year
man
starts
did it.
tomorrow, 10 a.m. Come through,
Come on through.
and
Oh,
we'll
wow.
talk about some stuff, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
See you then. Bye.